3 if you're gay. Press 4 for a freeway. Think about who? Think about what? Let's think about sluts. Do they know they're sluts? Let's find out. A disclaimer. You're a bitch. And you should feel like a bitch. Bake cookies and blank on them. Give the icing. So sticky. You should fuck men again and again. Even on a dick. Even on a bad day. I go bend them over, slap the ass. I go bend them over, slap the ass. I go bend them over, slap the
I make all my songs live on Twitch. You can check that out in the link down below.
Hello, welcome. I am so hot. Everything is too warm. Fitz, thank you so much for the prime. I appreciate it. How are you? Hopefully you're somewhere cooler than me. Because right now, I cannot. It is just ridiculous. Ooh. Yeah, apparently it's super hot there. Yeah, because it's a heat wave. We are experiencing an absolutely disastrous heat wave. Apparently it hasn't been this hot since the 70s. And they just got it one off. It wasn't like slowly escalating every year on year on year, just getting hotter and hotter. They just had one freak hot wave, and then it was just normal again. We're just getting this forever now. People are like, just remember, this is the coolest summer for the rest of your life. And I'm like, no. Cody, thank you so much for the bits. I appreciate it. Let me get the music on. It's a little bit quiet in here. There we go. Sonny, thank you so much. You're amazing. I'm considering getting AC installed. I looked into it and like you have to get permission from whoever owns the house, because for some, like for the proper stuff like that gets installed, and it's like depending on how big your house is, $5,000 to $15,000 to get air conditioning installed. But you can get like those mobile units that aren't like directly installed into the house itself, that like sit in the window or whatever, and they are cheaper, but I don't know how effective they are. So it's a bit of a nightmare because, yeah, the UK is built to insulate heat. It's not meant to defend against it. Rain, thank you so much for the gifties. Hope you're doing well, sweetheart. I saw some prices that were like 1,000 to 2,000. What the fuck, Juice? Well, you gotta send me some links. In my country, almost every household has an AC. Yeah, but we transitioned, Avi. That's awesome for you. We transitioned. So we used to be a cold country. We don't really understand what's going on or how to handle it. I'm melting. And the worst part is that like the fan has to be there because that's the only way I can protect the wires from Pete, because he will assassinate them. Because rabbits think that wires are roots, and roots in the burrow growing across are a danger and will seal it off and are a problem. So they take great pleasure in maintaining the burrow and chewing away all the roots so they don't cross over anything. So they think that they're doing you a favor when they chew all your wires because they think it's roots, and it's so annoying. So I have to protect the wire, and I've got like a big plastic sheet over the wire and over the socket so that I can have that particular fan there, but it's blowing my hair into my lip gloss. So like I'm like flip, flip, flip. You're like a rare Pokemon. In what way? I mean, I would happily take that as a compliment, but only when I know what you mean by that. Weary, thank you so much. I appreciate you gifting that. I love your top. Why does this happen? Okay, I thank you. I love that. Thank you, thank you. However, whenever I wear a dress, people say I love your top. And whenever I wear a top that is nice, people say I love your dress. Yeah, this is a dress. There's no way I'm wearing trousers for this. Fuck that. Like, normally I prefer trousers, but not in this weather. Not in this weather. Big success, Tuna. Thank you so much for the prime. I got into some addiction last year. I have been trying very hard to overcome. There are loads of people who've gone through exactly what you've gone through, and we live in the best time ever to be an addict. And the reason I say that is because previously most of the world could not read. It was a very rare skill to be able to read. Previously, there was no internet. And previously, like owning books was something that rich noble people did, if there were even books at all. Like for most of the existence of humanity, there were no books, no scrolls, no written words, right? So you're in a position where, for free, all of the world's information on how to overcome addiction is available at your fingertips, and the direct experiences of people who've gone through it and come out the other end. So you are in the best possible position imaginable to fight what you're going through. I have all the faith in you that you'll be able to utilize that, and you have an advantage that most people who go through this never get. Yeah, which is a great one up. But also, I would say, like, whatever you're addicted to, just make it harder to access that and easier to do something you prefer to do with your time and money. I think that'll be the first step. But don't swap one addiction for another. Like, actually replace it with stuff that you enjoy and get satisfaction out of. I love you. You doing anything for armed forces? Do they need me to? I mean, I don't think I have the right I don't have the right deck. I don't have the right skill set for the armed forces. Like, I don't know. I think they're more of a use to each other than I am to them. Bitch. You have the guns. I have tiny, weedy little guns that are barely there because I can't keep up. I've been really sick, so I had to stop working out for a little bit. My personal trainer was like, I got a new regime for you. I got new sets of everything to do and really excited to get you in on this. It's gonna be hard, but I believe in you. You're really strong. Your weights are really high, especially on the like so far into the workouts. You're still doing really high weights. Really, really good, really good. Let's push this further. I'm so excited. You're gonna love this. And I'm like, I've got news for you. I'm really unwell. I have been a fountain of puke and poop for the past few days, and I need to die. So like it's the worst possible time to continue. But I am gonna get back into it next week. I've got to get as many workouts as I can in before my surgery because the higher muscle density you have before surgery, the faster you recover. And recovery is going to be an absolute bitch. So like I'm really going to struggle. And I hate sitting still, really fucking hate sitting still, which is weird because I'm a streamer and a gamer. I'm a gaming streamer, which, you know, means a lot of sitting. And I fucking hate sitting. How did I get here? How did this happen to me? I used to be standing and walking more than I was sitting or sleeping. The dangerous surgery's back on that. Then I have discovered something awesome. I've discovered a new medication which will help to make that surgery not dangerous anymore. So like the thing that made it dangerous and the likelihood that it would kill me, was that I would have an MCAS degranulation if I had surgery, which was the risk because they're putting a load of meds in me that they don't know how I'm going to respond to. But also the stress on the body of surgery can trigger a degranulation, which is basically when your mast cells in your body have an immune response. They start thinking, "Oh God, we're dying, we're under attack," and they start fighting back against your own body. And so you can go into anaphylaxis. And the thing with the hospital I'm going to is they're not equipped to handle that as quickly as they could or should. So they're like, we wouldn't be able to do much if you did that because this isn't the right department for that. And we're not like, oh, we don't have the facilities. So with that said, it was like, we can't do the surgery on you, but we have to cancel because we could kill you. And it just turns out that a children's medicine could have saved me this whole time, which is devastating. You guys have no idea how devastating and awesome this news is. It's awesome in that, like, for the first time ever, I had this episode of, like, I got really sick with this condition, and, like, I was puking, I was in extreme pain. Usually I have to sleep on the bathroom floor for a few days, because if I try to take 2 steps away from it, I'll need to puke, or I'll have diarrhea again. So I'm just, like, glued in the bathroom. That is my whole world for days, and I'm in pain, and I'm just, like, constantly urging, constantly, like, agonizing, can't stand because I'll pass out, weak, shivering, getting alternating, like, heat and fever, and then chills where I'm absolutely freezing, and then I'm boiling hot the next moment. And it's just, like, horrendous, and I can't do anything. I can't sleep, can't eat. I'm severely dehydrated. I've had to go to the hospital with it a few times, and sometimes I get covered from head to toe in this really bumpy rash. I just suddenly turn into, like, a monster, and I'm just swollen, and my tongue swells, my throat starts to swell, and it feels like I'm choking all the time or someone's strangling me. And it's horrible, right? And I used to go through this, and I've been going through this for, like, at least 15 years. And I didn't know what was causing it. Oh, fuck, it must be more than 15 years. Like, maybe 18, 19 years? I don't know. And no one knew why. And people would come out, they'd call it gastroenteritis or whatever it was. They'd think it was a mild tummy bug. And they would just, like, occasionally, if it got really, really bad, I'd either go into the hospital, have a drip and all that stuff, or they would inject me with pain relief and an anti-nausea medicine. And because usually by the time that the EMTs came out, I was, like, exhausted and dying and just, like, haven't slept or ate in days, and I've been agonizing that whole time. It's exhausting. So immediately, as soon as the pain relief goes in, my body goes, oh, I can actually sleep, and I just immediately pass out before the EMTs have even left. I'm just passed out. So with that, like, I've been going through that, and it's been disrupting my life over and over again for, like, so many years, over a decade. And it turns out that it's an antihistamine issue. All I needed was antihistamines. And there's a children's antihistamine, a children's hay fever relief medication that just stops it. And, like, normally I'd have to reintroduce food for, like, a week, where I'll eat once a day, and it's, like, just some rice noodles with nothing on it or something. And I'll have to have, like, a few teaspoons of it, because otherwise it might come straight back up, and I have to slowly reintroduce food. Otherwise it will all start again by the time I have my next meal. Like, the next meal will just trigger it again. So, like, I would spend, like, a few days in agony, and then a week starving and just kind of weak and unable to do shit. And so, like, and then they said, we need you to get on a course of antihistamines before the surgery in order to make the surgery safe. And I was like, what antihistamines? And they're like, ask your doctor. So I asked my doctor, and they're like, well, we haven't diagnosed you yet. So before we go jumping the gun, let's do some blood tests. And they did some blood tests months ago. And I was like, cool, you've got the blood tests, you've got the results. What are the results? And it comes up on my phone, the results. And it's like, you don't have a B12 deficiency. I'm like, cool. What has that got to do with MCAS? What the fuck are you on about? And, like, I ring them, and I'm like, do you want to talk to me about why the fuck you tested my B12 before you would give me these really essential meds that prevent me from dying in surgery? And they're like, well, we can set you an appointment in a couple of months. And it's like, that's after my surgery. Give me the fucking meds. And they wouldn't get back to me, and they wouldn't do anything. And I'm like, what? I'm screwed. Are we going to have to cancel the surgery again? So I go back to the doctors, and I'm like, that are doing my surgery. And I'm like, hey, bitch, my local doctors are being useless. What do I do? I need these. You said I need antihistamines to have this surgery. Where the fuck do I get these? They won't even diagnose me. They just do stupid shit and don't explain themselves. So what they said was, oh, well, we talked to our anesthesiologist, and you could just take this off the shelf simple antihistamine, and it should do the trick. Just dose up on that big adult dose, double what you'd normally take, and you'll be fine. I was like, oh, okay. So I have a degranulation spontaneously, not because of the surgery, just randomly, because that happens sometimes, mysteriously around my period. And so I had this monster period that, like, interrupted my fucking tournament. It was really a horrible, painful period, and I was like, ah. And as soon as the pain starts to ease from that period, degranulation, and I'm like, ah, and I'm die even more. So, like, I spend, like, 2 or 3 days after that really sick as hell, dying, horrible. And I was like, wait, they said that antihistamine will help with the degranulation. Maybe I should try it. So I go and I take the banana flavored, tasty fucking hay fever medicine, and the pain goes away. and I'm upright, and 4 hours later, I'm eating a whole normal meal, and it's not making me sick, and I just feel normal, and, like, I feel all sparkly inside. I'm like, "Is this what feeling okay feels like? I don't think I've felt this before, but I feel, like, normal? I feel normal. What the fuck is happening?" So, that has been absolutely tremendous news because I've been crying about this. I've had meltdowns where I've been like, the doctors won't investigate it, and I'm gonna have to face it all over again. I'm gonna have to go through days and days, sometimes a week, of so much suffering, starvation, pain, vomiting, diarrhea, just all the horrible things, not able to stand. I'm gonna have that all over again some point in the future, just randomly. Don't know when it's gonna happen to me, but it is. And I'm gonna have to keep going through it because the doctors won't look into it, for fuck's sake. And I've sat there and cried. I've sat there and been like, why? Like, it's so unnecessary. All I'd need is a diagnosis to understand what's going on with me so I can deal with these symptoms. And it turned out that all this time, for nearly 2 decades, there has been a bottle of cheap medicine in the pharmacy that would have prevented all of this for me, that would have given half my fucking life back. I wanna scream. Like, I'm so happy, but I'm so devastated at the same time that this was so solvable and that nobody just nobody gave a shit. Try to find the active ingredient. Oh, I already know what it is. It's a H1 blocker. It's just it's the antihistamine in it. So it's a medicine that's very basic. I know why it works. I know how it works because it treats the condition I have. But like I keep asking my local doctor, can we look into MCAS? And they're like, no. Well, and then they're like, oh, well, we can do a blood test for you. I'm like, what's the blood test for? Is it for MCAS? Because there's no direct blood test for MCAS as far as I know. So how are you gonna deduce that? What test are you doing? And they just wouldn't tell me. They're like, "We'll give you a call. We'll do a phone call. Um, we'll do a phone call like appointment." And I was like, "Okay, what time?" And they're like, "This time." And I wait all day. They never call. And so I call them back, and I'm like, "They never called me." And they're like, "It's okay. They'll call you back before the end of the day." They didn't. So I rang them back again. I was like, "They never called me." And they're like, "It's okay. We'll reorganize the appointment." They didn't. So I go through the process of trying to make one, and I call in and I'm like, "Hey, can I make an appointment? This is really urgent. I need to figure out how to not die during surgery." And they were like, "Yeah, so you can't make a phone call on the phone. So do it through the website." So I do it through the website, and the website does not have an option for my query. And every time I put in my symptoms, it goes, "This is an emergency. Don't call us. Call 999. Like, this is an emergency. Like, this is a medical emergency because I'm having chills, severe 10 out of 10, stomach pain, and all this sort of stuff, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, we don't deal with that here." So there's no option online that allows me to make an appointment. So I just lie on the form to get an appointment, and they're like, "Cool, we'll see. We're kind of backlogged, so we can see you within 6 weeks." And I'm like, "That my surgery's sooner than that," and I haven't heard back from them. So basically, that's why I had to. They just said, as a precaution, it's not going to do you any damage if you don't have MCAS. So just load up on the H1 blockers until for a few days before the surgery, and that should cover you and make you safe. And you don't need you don't need a pharmacist or anything. Well, you don't need like a prescription. You can just buy that off the shelf. So I know how it works. I know what it is. It works for a condition I haven't been diagnosed with, but everyone thinks they have. Even the people at the hospital when I last went to the hospital with it. And I spoke to a GP, like a private GP, and they were like, "Yeah, I think this is MCAS," and they referred me for MCAS testing, and my doctor ignored it. My local doctor ignored it. And I tried to find a private immunologist to try and diagnose me, and there are no local private immunologists that specialize in this particular condition. So when I've sent the referral over, they're like, "Yeah, we don't deal with that." So I just cannot get it diagnosed, and it's a life-threatening thing. So getting healthcare is really fucking hard in the UK. Please move out of the UK. Anywhere else is better than that. I know, right? Like, this country is fucked. And most people experience some level of this when dealing with healthcare, even private healthcare. It's terrifying. How do you feel about people faking? Faking what? Faking orgasms? Faking illness? Uh, Faking liking people? Faking being fine when they're not? Like, faking what? Online consultations a thing? Well, yeah, the thing is, you can, but they're the same as a phone call, just with a video call. And I've made a phone call consultation, and they just never called me. They set a time, and they're like, "At this time, we will call you to discuss your symptoms and your treatment," and then they never called. They scheduled a blood test, which I went in for, and they got the results for, and they never spoke to me about it. So, there's just so much wrong with this system, it's really bad. I've seen girls pretending, your ailment. Well, here's the thing, I'm gonna say this. Um, so are you sure? Because the fact of the matter is that I could say "fuck you" voluntarily, and I could say "fuck you" as a tick in exactly the same tone. There would be no way to tell the difference whether that was coprolalia or just me voluntarily speaking. There isn't actually a way to specifically know whether someone's faking a condition just by looking at them, because Tourette's looks different from person to person. It's a massive spectrum. So on the one end, most people don't have like coprolalia. Most people don't have the swearing tics. Most people have really subtle tics, and most people have like sniffing, coughing, clearing their throat, just go over and over again can be a tick, for example. A lot of them have gestures and movements, like blinking really hard and things like this. And so, like, most people who have Tourette's, they're wildly different along the spectrum. Even among people who have the spoken word tics, they are very, very different in how their condition manifests, right? So there's no way to compare it to one other person and go, well, it's not like my cousin's Tourette's, right? But the thing is, and this comes up a lot, it's funny that you said girls specifically, because what happened with autism was that it was diagnosed in men because people give a shit about men, but they don't give a shit about women in the medical profession. Women are very, very understudied, and it presents differently in women. So a lot of women have not been diagnosed with autism most of their life, and there are a lot of women getting a late diagnosis at the moment. There's a huge wave, a huge spike in people being diagnosed with autism, not because loads of people are faking autism, because autism's really popular and quirky on the internet, but specifically because women were ignored, right? Autism, if you look back throughout history, there are books going, why is autism such a male disease? Autism in the male mind. Like, because people thought it was a male condition, but it wasn't. It was just that doctors don't give two fucks about women, right? And it also happened with ADHD. It's a trend. So most of the people diagnosed with ADHD were young boys, because people pay attention to young boys and are invested in their success. So when they fall behind at school, they are taken to the doctor, and the doctor gives a shit about them and believes them and doesn't think they're lying. So they help them. But when a girl has the same symptoms, they are called attention seekers. So a lot of girls didn't get diagnosed with ADHD, and now they're getting a late diagnosis, and there's a massive fucking spike. Now that people know what ADHD is, a lot of women are going, wait a minute, I had all of this, right? And so it's doubling. And so what's happening is this is also now happening with Tourette syndrome, in that Tourette syndrome primarily affected men. And it didn't. It was just that doctors were doing the same thing that they did with ADHD and autism, completely overlooking all of the female sufferers. And I was one of those female sufferers. When I went into the doctor several times as a child, they were like, if you don't have magical powers and you're not seeing things that aren't there, you're probably sane. You're probably just attention seeking and you'll grow out of it. I was like, what the fuck? And so I had to go in again and go, it happens when I'm alone. It's still going on. And they're like, oh, we'll look into it. So they tested me, and then they never spoke to me again. And then 7 years after that, I was like, it's still ruining my life. I can't get a job. It's happening when I'm alone. I'm not doing it for attention. I don't know what it is. Can we investigate it? Like, we investigated it a little bit, but never had any conclusions. And they're like, oh, it's Tourette syndrome. We just never bothered to tell you. We diagnosed you 7 years ago. And so a lot of young girls are going through exactly the same thing. And so doctors are just really suspicious of women and really suspicious of young girls, and think that they're faking and think that they're lying. It doesn't matter what condition it is. You could be having a heart attack and you will die in a hospital because a lot of male doctors will think, oh, you're just attention seeking, you're exaggerating. Women are just not believed. And so when you say, I see girls faking your condition, yeah, that's pretty on brand. People are just more suspicious of women in general. And so when they experience the same symptoms that men do, they're often hated and people get disgusted with them rather than seeing them as someone with a condition. And a lot of young girls with Tourette syndrome are experiencing exactly that right now, unfortunately. The inherent bias of the public to immediately doubt women. And so there's no way just by observing a person's Tourette's whether to tell whether or not they were faking or acting or whatever. There's just no way. But people immediately think that of women, especially if they find the women attractive. People doubt attractive women much more. And this applies in the medical profession as well. Like attractive women are doubted more and discredited and just not given medical treatment. There was just like this week, there was a lady, her family is suing because she was dying. She had a problem with her lower intestine, and they thought that it was just a tummy bug, and they didn't listen to her, and they didn't listen to her symptoms or take it seriously. And the coroner said that the core reason for her death was medical neglect because they should have done investigations that they did not do based on her symptoms that she was reporting, but they just did not believe her. And she was just like this beautiful young lady who was just left to die. And this constantly fucking happens. And so it's very on brand that you're like, I've seen girls faking your condition. Because the fact of the matter is that if you are a young woman with Tourette syndrome, people are several times more likely to doubt you. But there isn't really any reward for having Tourette syndrome. Like, there isn't a incentive. If you go ahead and fake Tourette syndrome out of the blue for a few months, you'll know that all you're going to get is a bunch of really horrible negative consequences and no real reward. So this idea that people fake it for something is kind of like absurd to me. And I think it's based on the idea that some people with Tourette syndrome have managed against all odds to be well liked and in the public eye and have done well in their career as entertainers or as comedians, YouTubers, this sort of thing, right? But it's what people don't see is the hundreds of thousands of people who immediately try that route. As you know, when you have Tourette's, it's really hard to get a job. It's really hard to get out there. They see someone successful with Tourette's. They're like, oh, I'll try that because I need a fucking job, right? And hundreds of thousands of people do not make it with Tourette syndrome. Most of the people with Tourette syndrome on Twitch, on YouTube, like trying to make a living out there are failing. They get like 7 views. It is not a meal ticket. It is not immediately going to make people make people like you or believe you or treat you well. And it comes with additional struggles as a content creator that other people don't think of. Like, I don't know any of my passwords because immediately once I started remembering my passwords, I started trying to shout them at the screen. I had to mute myself, and then I had to go change my passwords to things that I can't remember that I just jumbled letters because I was trying to tell my chat. There are loads of issues like that that make it extra fucking dangerous to be a streamer, to be a live streamer as someone with Tourette syndrome. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I could be sat here for ages telling you all the additional struggles, but I don't want to complain about my job. I do like my job, and people are just going to think that I hate being here. So I won't go into it, but I will say that one of the reasons that people doubt people with Tourette syndrome is because they think that it's a meal ticket and it's an instant be famous. You know, just like a skip ahead, snakes and ladders, like this is a random ladder to the top of the game where you can just be like, oh, I could just fake Tourette's and be famous. And it's like, no, you can't. It's incredibly fucking hard. It's actually a debuff. It's a debuff. Like, there's a reason why Billie Eilish didn't immediately come out and explain that she had Tourette syndrome. Like, there is a reason why a lot of content creators with Tourette syndrome try not to fixate on it and try to be other things than just their condition. It is really hard, really fucking hard. It is harder to make it as a Tourette's content creator than it is to just be a content creator. I promise you. And so the doubt that this is all founded on, the idea that young girls are faking it to be famous and quirky, is so abysmally misguided because it's the opposite is true. It just makes everything fucking harder and horrible. It does. There is no point in faking it. It will not get you rewards. There is no reward to faking it. It happened for years and years, both for Tourette's and autism, just now things are slowly progressing. It's hard when people just think it's fake when it's just a lack of information. Well, the thing is, it applies to everything. I mean, people think that women are faking needing a wheelchair. There was a young lady who was brought to tears and she wanted to quit because people constantly saying that she was faking needing a wheelchair for subs. And that her just doing her content, which was really awesome content, by the way, that people were saying that she was just using as wheelchair for sympathy and that she probably isn't even disabled. Like, people just doubt all women with disabilities really hard. So it's not something that is just unique to Tourette syndrome, but it's specifically more aimed at women than men. People doubt men too, but people doubt women more. People seem to have this underlying like bias that women are trying to lie to you and control your emotions to gain things from you. And so like it's really, really hard if you have a disability because people think, do you though? Do you though? I think there's a guy who got up midstream. Yeah, so there was a guy who was a veteran who got up off his wheelchair after his stream. And the thing with that is that's not even fucking proof that he didn't need it because a lot of people use a wheelchair because they can't stand for long periods of time. Like if you have certain kinds of surgery or whatever, standing for 5 minutes is possible, but 10 minutes is agony. So you couldn't walk around a shop. You would need a wheelchair to do a whole shop in a shop, right? And so, like, a lot of people will think that someone is faking needing a wheelchair for sympathy in parking spots because they can occasionally stand or walk, or because they have feeling in their legs and they can move their toes and stuff, you know? Oh, it's 3 o'clock. Okay. Is the bunny cam working? Yes, it is. I love you. Oh, he's so ready. It's been so hot. I've been putting ice in their drinking bowls, to try and keep them cool. He is currently suffering, but he does sit behind me just in front of the fan. He knows it's 3 o'clock though. I have to find the jar. I'll be back. Uh, bear with. I don't know where it is. Little baby woman. Oh, I'm EMPing it. There we go. They got their treats. I can't give them extra treats because the worst thing I could do is make them fatter right now. That would be very, very bad. There we go. What do you think of Tix and Roses and her whole controversy of faking Tourette's, I noticed that a lot of people with a sound mind who released videos pointing out the whole situation actually went on to delete them after the family reached out to them. So I do think there are more details that aren't publicly available, which add additional context to the whole situation. I think it's really hard to judge without that context, but it was enough context that people with millions upon millions of views were deleting their videos once the family was reaching out. So I would say like casting judgment on Tix and Roses is kind of hard, not knowing that additional info. I do think that if I remember, it was years and years ago. So if I'm mistaken, please do let me know. But I'm pretty sure she had mental health issues. And people don't choose to have mental health issues. And some mental health issues can make you convinced of things that aren't true or see things that aren't there. I don't know if it played into her belief about her condition. I don't know whether or not she was actively trying to deceive anybody. It may well be that she has Tourette's, but it's more complicated than people realize, you know? Whatever the issue is, I'm not going to lay down a bunch of judgment on someone who was more than likely just going through something rather than actively trying to cause any harm. Tix and Roses low-key scared me because if anyone with TS wants to be a content creator, they'll be compared to her for faking. Well, here's the thing. I'm just going to say she didn't do any damage whatsoever because as someone who was around for a long time, long before Tix and Roses was ever a twinkle in anybody's eye, people were doubting me from the beginning, and every single person I've ever met with Tourette's has been doubted for decades. So I'm just going to lay it out there. People were already thinking that, you know, every single person with Tourette's was faking. People with Tourette's are just accused of that anyway. The fact that people now have an example they like to point to really didn't make a difference in the frequency or the problem. Your own family will think you're faking. Yeah, a problem that a lot of people with Tourette syndrome, real diagnosed Tourette syndrome, have is that family may have doubts about them or not fully understand the condition. So with that said, like even people who watch it develop from childhood and be a consistent problem that you battle with every single day can still doubt you. So I don't know how much damage it really does. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a lot of anger at Tix and Roses, to be quite honest with you, because I think jumping to conclusions before you understand the situation is awful. And I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of that. So I tend to be cautious and try not to judge with only a snippet of the information available. And for me, like I know what it's like in that regard because people were taking clips of me and my tics. I had the N-word tic really badly. It still comes up every now and again. I still say the F slur a lot, as well. And people were clipping it out of context and not saying that I had Tourette's, and then posting it to generate outrage and capitalize on that outrage and going, this woman is promoting like racism and homophobia to kids. And they were saying that, and people were judging me off of that and being horribly abusive, sending death threats and stuff. You know, it's scary going out in the street and just living your life when people think that you're an awful person because you think someone might attack you in the street and stuff, you know? And so I know what it's like to judge things, to be judged by people who know nothing about the situation. Absolutely. That's okay. I think Tourette's is like sleepwalking in a sense. It's subconscious and involuntary at times. I would say it's not subconscious. I feel like I really, 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 really wish that people got an education about what the subconscious is and isn't, because most people think it's like Jiminy Cricket sitting on your shoulder going, this is your subconscious speaking. You really want pie while you're sleeping. And it's like, I really want pie all of a sudden. I don't know why. I have no conscious reason. I don't understand why I really need pie this morning. And so like people don't really understand that Tourette's isn't really your subconscious and that your subconscious isn't what you think it is. I find it fascinating. Like the subconscious is actually a really, really cool idea, but is really kind of mostly a fantasy. Like what you yeah, like there's a whole part of your brain that you don't realize works completely differently to the way that you've been told. And most people only ever think about your subconscious like from cartoons and children's shows and stuff, and they never think about it again. They never look into it. And so the problem with that is that when it comes to having Tourette's, everyone thinks that you're subconsciously racist, that you're subconsciously just an absolute cunt, right? Fact. So what happens is that you have people who are like completely understanding and are like, don't worry, it's okay that you have Tourette's and that you have a dirty little mind and you're always thinking about cock, you silly little slut, you. I think about cock all the time too. I can choose not to say it, and it's so unfair that you have to embarrass yourself like that and just spew your unconscious all over the place and let us all know what a horny, dirty little girl you are. Like some people genuinely think like that about Tourette's. They're being understanding, but just from the most abysmally misunderstood way they possibly could. It's like their heart's in the right place, but also not. Okay? So no, I'm not secretly racist. I'm not secretly desperate to hate crime gay people, right? Like that, it's not my subconscious. I'm just not subconsciously against the gays. I'm like 50% gay. I'm a part-time gay, okay? So like, it would be weird. It would be weird if that was my subconscious, right? Hi. Hey, Brown Bro. Thank you so much for the dick, for the super chat. I appreciate it. But hopefully my overview on the Ticks and Roses thing really helps. Because like I didn't really touch on it a lot when my mom was alive, but my mom had a lot of mental health issues. And she really, really suffered. She went through so much. And there were lots of things that she was doing that seemed terrible on the surface, but were actually just due to mental illness and were not voluntary and were not her choice. And I think, like, I, of all people, have a really, really good perspective, lived experience. Like, I've been informed by lived experience that you can't just judge someone's actions entirely by their intentions when they are going through mental health issues. Hey! Been playing the first Frostpunk and I keep dying. Great game. I haven't played the first one. I've already played the second one. And the second one changed mid-save. I was playing my new save, and my new save halfway through just changed, and there was a bunch of new stuff, and I was like, what the fuck? So like I've been thrown in at the deep end without any understanding of what's new. But it's been applied to my new save, and I'm like, okay, okay, okay. You're very welcome, and it did. Thank you. You're really sweet. Have you played any more Pokopia? I haven't had the chance. I've been sick as a dog, and I usually sit when I'm really sick. Sometimes I try to play my Switch in bed, but it gives me motion sickness. I kind of have to play it more on the big screen. So because sitting upright has been a challenge for the past few days, I haven't had a chance. Uh, uh. Has any viewer told you they developed tics after watching your streams a lot? I started subconsciously doing pops and whistles, and I find it funny. If so, there's this thing called tic shopping. I don't mean to out you here, theorized. Please forgive me, but bitch, you suck, Jizz. You might have Tourette's. You might need to go get checked because tick swapping or tick shopping is when someone with Tourette's watches somebody with other else with Tourette's, and you can end up swapping ticks. You can end up and having a tick because you've heard it a lot from someone else with Tourette's, basically. So if that's happening to you, low-key, it might be a sign because Tourette's is not contagious. Uh, if you're tick shopping, you might not have known it because you might not have had like a very drastic verbal tick before. Also, Tourette syndrome is not just tics. It's a huge, like, your brain doesn't function the same as everybody else's. You have underactivity in a certain region of the brain. So there's a bunch of other symptoms that you may have. If you go look up the symptoms of Tourette syndrome, the lesser known symptoms of Tourette syndrome, throughout your childhood, if you had any of these, you may well have Tourette's. Uh-uh. Yeah. Hey, Alan. Thank you so much. But echolalia is a symptom of many conditions, ADHD, for example. Yeah, there's a lot of crossover between Tourette's and autism and ADHD because with ADHD, at least, there's an underactivity of a certain region of the brain. And that same place is underactive with people with Tourette syndrome. So there is a lot of crossover there. Hey! Do your thoughts tick but not manifest outwardly? Yes, Chipples. That is definitely something that happens. And I think it contributes to the learning difficulties that people with Tourette syndrome have. Because it's really, really hard to learn and concentrate and think when someone is shouting in your head over all of that. Like you will get tick words that don't manifest outwardly but happen over and over again in your head, and it's really exhausting. Also, if you fight a tick, it will happen mentally over and over again until you actually do the tick as well. So both of those things can cause you to have internal tics a lot. And the problem with that is, like, imagine someone asks you a math question and then someone else is shouting 5, 6, 27, 5,053,053 just over and over again, just shouting loads of numbers over you while you're trying to do math or while you're trying to remember your phone number. Like, it's really going to make it difficult to do either of those things, right? And so Tourette's can make it really hard to pay attention in class, to learn things, to sit and read a book, to, take in information because of it, to listen to other people as well. And take in what they're saying, unfortunately. So yes, I do get internal tics, and I personally think it's why we have learning difficulties, why it can be more challenging for us. And that doesn't mean that we're not smart and we don't pick things up. It just is more challenging. We're just picking it up on hard mode. We're just on a higher difficulty setting than you. And like a lot of people with Tourette syndrome will still get really skillful at things. I know people who are fantastic musicians, drummers, actors, all sorts. There are loads of really talented people with Tourette syndrome. It's just harder to learn. We'll still learn. We just have a rougher time doing it. No question, but lovely makeup. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is also why histrionic personality disorder is called what it's called, because of course only women could be hysterical. Turns out men can and have been too. Yeah. I feel like histrionic personality disorder is one of many historic things that is proof that we've been doing this to women for many, many years. Many, 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 many years. Ah. Michael Alia loves ticks and picked up your turn left satnav voice for a while. Sadly, my default with it is deck the halls with boughs of holly instead of the season for literal years. I feel like one of my ones for that, I picked up, weirdly, Tracer does not have Tourette's. I've been playing a lot more Overwatch lately. And I'm scared because I don't want to have the Tracer ticks again, because I would go, I forget that feeling of deja vu over and over and over and over for years and years. And slowly it morphed, it changed to, I forget that feeling of sexual healing. And like, that is even weirder to shout at random in public spaces. Like, it's the weirdest thing to say in a queue. Like, I keep bringing this up as an example because it's the most embarrassing one. Whenever I queue for, like, to buy shit at a shop, you make people jump with it because she says it with such fervor. It slams out of her. So, like, it's you can never say that quietly. As a Brit, do you think it would be better? Would be a better James Bond? Sir Idris Elba or Damian Lewis? Who's Damian Lewis? Is Idris Elba the big stocky bloke with the dark skin? Like, he looks like if a car slammed into him, the car would break and he would be fine. Like, impervious. He looks impervious. But who's Damian Lewis? Damian Lewis. I reckon Idris Elba. I don't know much about Damian Lewis. I mean, but just on face value, as handsome and lovely as he is, see, I can see him as Shakespeare. He's like crossovered with like Shakespeare or some sort of king. No, he's Henry VIII. He makes a better Henry VIII, to be honest with you. But if I looked at him, I wouldn't think, yeah, that's Bond. That's James Bond. Hey. Why does the UK get a new prime minister so often? So basically what happens is we vote somebody in, and then internally they have a crisis, and then they swap them out. And what happens is, so like we vote in, say, a Conservative Party or the Labour Party in, and they have a term like 4 years or something, right? And in that time, they infight and they dislike some of the stuff that their own party is doing. So they have their own, they turn against their own person, or the prime minister steps in, goes, I can solve it, actually sees all the problems and goes, never mind, this is more than any one person can deal with. You're all going to hate me because there's no one who can solve all of this. Like, you're going to hate me for all the things I didn't solve, no matter what I actually do, because no one can fix all of this in 4 years. Holy fuck, right? And so, like, sometimes they step down and they get swapped out. Sometimes they have like a mysterious, quite quiet little chat with like a member of the royal family, and then come out and do a press conference on why they suddenly have a change of heart and don't want to be in charge anymore for completely unknown reasons. Sometimes the Epstein files mention who they want to place in power and who they definitely don't want to place in power, and they say things like in their emails between each other, be right back, just meddling with UK politics, haha, and all this sort of stuff. And so there's suspicions about certain people having been placed in power by all the people entangled in the Epstein stuff. So like, yeah, there's a lot of political maneuvering. So it's not just one issue. Sometimes they resign, sometimes they're fired before their term ends, and then they have to be swapped out for someone nobody voted for. And this keeps happening, and it makes our vote worthless. This is the scary thing about being in the UK, is our vote is completely worthless, because less than 50% of the time we actually get a prime minister that we voted in. So many of our prime ministers have been people that we didn't vote for. Russia definitely has a hand in the Reform Party. Yeah, I feel like that's really, really obvious, but they target, the Reform Party targets people who are not very politically literate. I wouldn't say they're dumb, but they're definitely not politically literate. So when they're paying attention to politics, they're listening to things like the Daily Mail, they're taking things at face value from like, you know, things like GB News and stuff like that, really biased, paid for media. With an agenda that is simplifying complex things to make it accessible to a layman with entry level politics understanding. And there are a lot of people who are like that, because being in the UK is just busy. Like, if you work a hard labor job, you're tired when you come home, you do not have the mental energy to do a history course and get like a degree in fucking political psychology and history and all of that stuff. So you're not really going to catch a lot of propaganda the way that people who are more experienced or understand the system a little bit better do. And this means that, you know, you can simplify things to, the reason we are poor is because your neighbor is brown. And like, there are people who are just not very politically literate who will go, oh, okay, sure. And they will eat that up immediately. So the Reform Party is like MAGA in the States. Yes, it really, really is. And they collude with people from MAGA as well. Driznar, thank you so much. But I feel like if you taught children at schools how to fact check, that wouldn't happen anymore. Just laying that out there. There's a reason why MAGA is deconstructing education and trying to encourage people to get less of an education. What do you think about lazy Tuesday afternoons? As in, like, as a concept? Is that like a code for something? Is that like a song or whatever? Or is it just literally, what do you think about being lazy on Tuesday specifically? And I'm like, I don't know what day it is most of the time. I don't understand time. Part of my disability, I don't understand time. So I never know what day it is. If I need to be lazy, I will be lazy because laziness is a form of productivity. I love you dick. But I definitely don't need a calendar to tell me whether or not I'm justified in taking a chill day. Damn, I'm the most productive person then. Well, people don't seem to realize that if your body needs rest, it will tell you to fucking rest and you will zone out and have difficulty concentrating anything because you need to be still. And that we've scientifically proven that when you zone out and just stare off into space, your brain is doing a mini sleep. So there is a process that you do when you're sleeping. I don't know if you know about it. It's called cook. It's called like I think it's REM. I think it's REM sleep or something. But there is a stage of your sleep where your brain starts flushing out the plaque. Because when you start thinking and you do things with your brain, when your brain as an operating system does stuff, it produces byproducts. And that byproduct is like a plaque that can build up in your brain. It can lead to things like dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff. So your brain needs to clear that plaque out, and it does it in your sleep. It flushes. One of the things it does is it flushes things from your body and processes them and clears away any buildup, right? Especially in your brain. And what you do when you zone out and you're just lazy and you just do nothing and you think nothing is your brain does a mini flash version of that flushing. So sometimes you need to zone out. Sometimes you just need to be still and lazy and do nothing for your brain to function properly and be healthy. Like there is a physical reason why you need to sleep, and there's a physical reason why you need to zone out. And so, like, laziness, unproductive time where you are doing nothing, is still productive because you are producing a health. You are doing a health. And we don't recognize this enough. And we don't recognize that as humans, for most of the existence of humans, nobody had a job. Like, jobs didn't exist. Jobs are a relatively new invention. Okay. We have been animals for millions of years before we ever became what we are today. And even when we had a role, those roles would have downtime. Like there were whole seasons where you could not gather the berries. There were whole seasons where you weren't doing much hunting. There were whole seasons where you had to take it chill. We don't have chill seasons anymore. You know? So we do need lazy time. All animals need lazy time. If you observe any animal, they have lazy time where they just sit. Where they just sit. It's the most natural thing in the world. We're the only species that thinks that we shouldn't. And in countries where we've worked that into the work week, they're actually more productive. So there are countries where they have like a 3-day or 4-day work week and they have a 4-day work day, a 4-hour work day even. So like you go in for 4 hours, you go home, that's your work day. Or you go in for 4 hours, you come home for 2 or 3 hours, and then you go back in for a little bit. Like you have a proper break where you can cook food with your family and stuff. And those countries, the amount of productivity they get from each hour is exponentially higher than people who work 9 to 5. So somebody who works 9 to 5 can do, on average, less work in that time than a well-rested person who barely comes in and barely spends any time in there. So we've proven that like the more downtime you have, the better you are in your uptime. It, like, improves your efficiency, it makes you eager to do what you need to do, it improves your decision-making time, everything. Like, so you will be improved if you schedule in break time and downtime that you don't feel guilty for. Because if you're just sat there going, "Ah, I shouldn't be gaming right now," that's not downtime, you're still stressed, okay? You need to not feel guilty about your downtime while you're downing. because they're making them love their job. I think that's part of it. I do. I think as well when you have a good job and you feel really happy where you are more invested in keeping the company afloat and keeping your job. Like, I feel like the way that we currently have things set up here in the UK is that the worker and the person they work for are against each other because the worker, to maximize their profit, has to do less work. So they're trying to do the least amount of work possible to but charge the most for their time. And the boss or the company owner is trying to do the opposite. They're trying to get as much work out of you for as little pay as possible so that they can cut costs. And so the truth of the matter is, if you had a profit share where the bigger the company became, the more salary every single worker got, all the way down to the bottom role, the more everybody would be excited to work their job and to keep the company going and improve the company and go above and beyond, because the more the company earns, the more they earn themselves. But currently we have a system which is very capitalistic, where it's just a tiny 1% at the top who benefit in the pyramid scheme and everyone else has to suffer, and they're just extracting value from you. And it's very adversarial and exhausting. And that's why a lot of people who work for themselves are much happier. Like, if you can find a way to work for yourself, you're living the dream because you work exactly the hours you want to work. You work when you have the energy and you stop when you don't. I'm currently working on that at the moment. I find that a lot of people who are not neurotypical end up having to become really good and have amazing big business acumen because they can't get employed. Like, I learned to employ myself quite early on because no one was crazy enough to employ me. And that worked out really well for me. But people with ADHD are several times more likely to run their own business successfully, not just run their own business, but do it successfully. Because there's something about the way that our brains work that makes us better suited for the work. But, like, in my position, I have to make some really fucking weird choices. Um, so, like, it's weird. I have this weird uncomfortable feeling, like, all of the time, and it's balancing, like, the ludicrousness of society against what makes sense, against my own morals, sitting and, like, being happy in and of myself. And I have this inner monologue, and I don't know how you're gonna feel about this conversation because I don't know how I feel about this conversation, and I've never known how I feel about this conversation, right? And I'm gonna lay it all out. Maybe you can weigh in. Maybe you can lend your opinions, right? So the main reason why women do OnlyFans, I'm not considering OnlyFans, by the way. The main reason why a lot of women do OnlyFans is because it's good money. It's not easy money, but it's good money when you succeed. But it's high risk, high reward. So basically, most people who do OnlyFans don't succeed. They usually just put all of their giblets all over the place and everyone can see them. And usually it's their workmates and their friends directly who find out about it and have a look. And it's really weird because people like your stepdad and stuff will start buying your content without you realizing. And then your mom will find out and things like this. Like, it causes a lot of internal drama. So it's very high risk. And then if workmates find out, quite often there's a lot of stigma attached to it. So a lot of people, like, you can get fired and things like this, right? So it's very, very high risk. It's very, very unlikely that you will get any return for the money. And if you do succeed, people will hate you and be really aggressive towards you, and you will never be safe again. Because society isn't comfortable with women benefiting from sex work. They are comfortable with men consuming it, but they are not comfortable with women benefiting it. They want the industry to exist, but they want women to suffer to create it. They do not want women to be happy and successful while creating it. And that's like something that people are really furious with, because nobody was angry about porn stars until they had their own agency and started owning their own content. Before, when it was just porn on the hub, people were fine with it. But when the women owned it and were visibly getting rich, people were furious. Absolutely fucking furious. And the difference was that a man was making all the money, and the sex workers who performed in porn back then, when it was a contract with them, they earned basically nothing. And like, people like, I think it's Mia Khalifa and stuff like that, were saying that they got barely any of the proceeds from the work that they did compared to the companies who shot the film and stuff like this. So it's a weird, yikesy kind of thing. And I've watched that and I've been like, I feel like one of the reasons why people are mad at women for succeeding in the sex industry is because men feel vulnerable when women are hot, because it triggers involuntary behavior in men. And men try to nerf women by going, how dare you be hot? Cover yourself up. Be ashamed of being sexy. Be ashamed of wearing that lovely outfit. Be ashamed of being sexual. You're not allowed to desire sex. That's disgusting. I don't like a woman who's too eager. I don't like a woman who knows she's attractive. I don't like a woman who wears slutty clothes. I don't like too much makeup unless I'm jerking off over it. But like all this sort of stuff, right? And so they try to nerf women who are hot, women who unabashedly like themselves, wear stuff, look at themselves in the mirror. People fucking hate them for the exact view that they are enjoying, right? That's always been the thing. I've watched it my whole life as a child because my mom was always beautiful. She's always been insanely hot. She's always been the hottest woman. And I watched that dynamic my whole life. I'm going somewhere with this, by the way, but I'll lay some groundwork for the realization of, fuck, people just hate women for benefiting from their own hotness. They want to benefit from your hotness, but they don't want you to benefit from your hotness. They just want to nerf you because it feels scary and vulnerable to want to give you stuff and be nice to you all the time. They feel like you have a power over them, even though you didn't decide any of it. You didn't decide how they feel. You're just existing. They hate you for it. So it's scary because I want to serve you. And that's contradictory. I'm supposed to be a man. I'm supposed to be in charge and dominant, but I feel so submissive around you. I just want to give you everything. I just want to see how you are. I care about your feelings. I want you to be okay. I want to do everything for you. I want to give my life for you. I want to give you my stuff. I want to sim for you. And that's completely contrary to who I'm supposed to be as a man. I'm supposed to be stoic. I'm supposed to be in control. I'm supposed to be dominant. I'm not supposed to be some ant desperately gathering resources for my queen. This is really, really like creating some dissonance in my head. I hate you for it, and I have to nerf you. I have to make you ashamed of the clothes that I'm attracted to. I have to make you feel ugly. I have to make you feel unsexy. I have to make you feel ashamed of your sexuality because I desperately want it, and I hate that I desperately want it, right? And I've seen this happen where men feel powerless, and so they try to nerf the women, because I watched people try to nerf my mom growing up. My mom was always so attractive. When we lived in this like meadow full of hippies, the police tried to evict us. And so people were living in tents and tree houses and stuff. And my mom, we all called each other a Smurf. Like people called people like Big Smurf, Little Smurf, you know, like all this sort of stuff, like Handy Smurf, because the guy was always doing repairs, you know, all this sort of stuff. Like you were the Smurf who had like a skill or an attribute that was defining that, where if you said this thing about them, everyone would know. And then it became Bob. It eventually evolved from Smurf to Bob. So like it was like Handy Bob, Happy Bob, Small Bob, Big Bob, this sort of thing. My mom was Sexy Bob. Everyone was calling her Sexy Bob, which was weird for me because I'm less than 10. I don't know what age I was, somewhere between 6 and 10 probably, right? Little girl. And I was like, my mom wants this. And they'd be like, who? And I'd be like, Sexy Bob. And they'd be like, oh, okay, Sexy Bob wants it? What does she want? And people be eager to please her, right? Immediately, everyone loved Sexy Bob. There are many, many women. But if you said Sexy Bob, everyone knew exactly who. People were just attracted to her. She did not choose the title chose her. Okay? And so, like, women were annoyed with her because their boyfriends were always hitting on my mom, which was not my mom's choice or doing. And men were constantly trying to impress her at the same time as nagging her, as trying to make her feel insecure, at the same time as like really like looking over at her all the time, being interested in everything she does, having an opinion on everything she does, paying such close attention to her and what she was wearing, what she was doing, how she was acting, what she was saying. They would simultaneously pretend that they had no interest in her and found her actually kind of gross and annoying, actually, right? And so I watched this behavior and I was like, I don't think you actually hate my mom. I think you hate that you like my mom. Right? And that was the first time I caught it. I was like, everyone finds my mom attractive, and there are people who really hate that about themselves. Right? And then I saw people be jealous and fight with my mom. And I saw this weird dichotomy of everyone pressures you to be as attractive as possible. You are worthless until you are attractive. No one wants to hear what you have to say. No one cares what you do. People are kind of disgusted with you if you eat when you're overweight, but really happy for you if you eat while you're really slim, and things like this. And so people are really angry and disgusted and constantly making your life harder because you're not attractive enough. So you try really hard to be attractive, but then you become attractive and everyone hates themselves for being obsessed with you. And everyone tries to play down how obsessed with you they are, and everyone tries to nerf you because they feel submissive to you and out of control of their own actions, because they're feeling things that are not their decision to feel, and all of those feelings make them submissive to you, right? And so I watched this. I watched this growing up, and I was like, fuck. You're damned if you do, and damned if you don't. You're damned if you are beautiful and attractive and sexy like everyone pressures you to be, and you are damned if you don't do it and people just hate you for another reason. It just looks like everyone's looking for an excuse to hate women at this point, because there's no comfortable position in society as a woman on that bar of hotness to not hotness. I was like, fuck. Wherever I decide to be on this bar, wherever I turn out to be on this bar, it's gonna be hell. I could see myself catapulting through puberty and people going, oh, she's blossoming, staring at my tits when I'm 11, and I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Right? And people were like, oh, you're gonna be beating the boys away with a stick when you grow up. To me, age 7. Right? And all this stuff. And they were like pre-sexualizing me. And I was like, oh, fuck. Am I hurtling towards my mom's situation where everyone is just being an asshole? Right? And I watched all of this, and I never felt attractive growing up. I felt ugly. I felt undesirable. I felt embarrassed. I never liked letting people take pictures of me, nothing. And I've recently come across a few old like data sticks and stuff full of old pictures of me, and I'm like, fuck, I was fine. Like, if this was a stranger, I would call her beautiful, and I was sat in that body hating it every day. That's so crazy. But anyway, I've gotten to this point in my life where, like, I don't do all these things that could make me so much money, and I have no future. You guys have to realize this. As someone with Tourette's, there's a lot of struggles you do not see, and they really get in the way of me having a life and a job. And the problem with that is that job stability is not very stable here as a Twitch streamer. I don't know when you're going to get bored of me or why you're going to get bored of me. I don't even understand why you're interested in me, because I would not watch my own content. Like, this is not the kind of thing I find interesting. I'm really happy that you're here with me right now, but I don't know why you do it. And so, like, that insecurity is like, you could all fire me. You could all be like, she's boring. And I would just lose everything. So I have no security. And with that said, if I made like 6 mil this year, I could make that last. I could live off that for the rest of my life. Easy. That's more than I would need to achieve that, right? And I can achieve that this year. From what I've learned from other content creators, I know a lot of other content creators who make sexy content. And it's like, I wouldn't even need to show anyone anything that I don't show you. So like, I could literally take a picture. Someone offered me $5,000 for a picture of my feet the other day, right? I could buy a packet of underwear, and instead of putting them in the tumble dryer, I could literally just wear them once and send them off in a package and get money for them. And I could make money from just wearing underwear, passive income, you know, because someone out there is just going to sniff them, right? Like, there is so much stuff that I could do where I wouldn't have to reveal anything about myself. I wouldn't have to like full on show all of my inner flaps or anything to get that level of money and security. And yet I don't. And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, aren't I a good girl? All of you should be so nice to me because I'm such a good girl, because I don't do that easy mode that's so bad that those bad women do. Because I'm like, fucking yeah, props to you. Milk those idiots that give you a hard time. Because those men that like pay sex workers for pictures of them and stuff, they hate those women. They fucking hate them. They would murder them in the street, and often do. A lot of porn stars get murdered on their doorstep by men who are like, you're a whore, you'll sleep with anyone, you'll sleep with me, right? And they're like, no, that's not how this works. I will not sleep with you. And then they go, how dare you? This is humiliating. You sleep with anyone but not me? And they kill them. This is a really common thing, right? So like, people fucking hate sex workers. They attack them all the time, dislike them, but will still jerk off to them. Usually the loudest voices against porn, the people who jump into my stream who are like, I hate porn. Porn is bad. Women who make porn are really bad. You have self-respect. You don't make porn. I like you because of that. I know that fucker is jerking off to porn like 8 times a day. I know he specifically is, because nobody else has a problem. People who are like, oh, I'm not really into porn, don't really bother about it, right? They don't care. But the one who's screaming from the rooftops is the porn addict, right? And so with that said, like, those women who do that work deserve all the compensation and more. They absolutely do. Because it is hard work to be a sex worker when you're taking photos and stuff. It's really fucking hard work. And it's dangerous work, right? And with all that said, I'm fine with them getting the money, and I'm like, yes, you do it, queen. You get that money. These people were gonna hate you either way, and they were gonna sexualize you either way, and they were gonna jerk off stills of you. They were gonna be taking screenshots and jerking off to it anyway. You might as well be making money from it. You might as well be making bank and be comfortable. Fuck it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. And yet I don't. And the reason why I don't is partly because I don't make enough money to have like perpetual financial security like I could if I did sex work. I know that I could, and it's a tremendous privilege to have that option in a way, because most people don't know if they will succeed. But I already have a bunch of people who are like sending me messages every day, like, if you made sex work content, I would pay you. I would pay you this much. I have like a catalog of pre-customers, right? And I don't take it. And the fact of the matter is, I don't feel comfortable with lust from men anymore. I don't. And it makes me feel uneasy and queasy and upset and angry, because all my life, whenever someone who has been male has been attracted to me, I have either been in danger, I have been attacked, I have been assaulted. I have had so many bad experiences with male lust that I do not enjoy it. I do not look forward to it. And if every day I had to look through loads of creepy sexual messages from men, I would not feel good. I would feel really uncomfortable. I am just too traumatized and angry to feel good in that environment and comfortable. And I feel like a lot of the sex workers I know aren't comfortable in that environment. They aren't like, oh, I hope someone good to me today. Like, I don't think they actually like these people, give a shit about these people, or get off on engaging with these people at all. I think that low-key they probably are disgusted with them too. I don't know for sure, but I feel like at least some of them must be, right? And I'm just like, yeah, give me the money. I don't want to look at you. Just look at the picture. There's a picture. Just give me the money, right? And so, like, I feel like I don't have to like these people to send them feet pics or post them my underwear. So it makes no sense. And it almost feels like I've let those weird insecure creeps that used to try and nerf my mom all the time, and it feels like they've nerfed me. And it feels like I've let them go, I would be uncomfortable if you benefited from my lust. So you're not allowed to benefit. That would enrage me even more. I hate that I'm lusting after you, but I hate it that you would benefit from it even more. So you're not allowed to do that, because that would make you a whore, right? And we're going back to that nerfing thing. And it's like, if I'm going to be sexualized either way, why the fuck am I going to be screaming at myself when I'm 64 and I can't afford the care home and I'm being kicked out on the streets, and I'm like, God damn it, I should have popped a titty out for the lads. I'm like, am I going to be like a little old lady desperate in financial insecurity going, they're going to jerk off to you anyway. Sell the feed pic. What are you doing? You're sitting on a fucking gold mine. Right? Am I betraying myself for those weird, insecure little idiots who just try to nerf hot women? The same insecure, weird little idiots that simultaneously will say, I'm glad you don't dress like a whore, because now I can respect you. But then you let them design a female character in a game, and they design a whore. They put the clothes on the woman. If I could design any woman, if I could be a woman, if I could wear whatever I wanted, I would wear the hoary clothes that I choose to disrespect women for in my day-to-day life. Like, I would be the exact woman I tell women not to be. And I've seen interviews where people go up to men and they're like, hey, what would you do if you were a woman for a day? And they're like, I would start an OnlyFans immediately. And then the same men who are like, I could never respect a whore. I could never date a whore. And it's like, the first thing I would do if I was a woman for a day, be a whore immediately. And I'm like, I think I understand the mindset. And it's like, a lot of these people, if someone offered you, press one, if someone offered you $5,000 for a picture of your foot, you would take it. If you're like walking around with the feet out anyway, I'm gonna be wearing sandals on the beach later, right? Like, people are gonna see my feet. And there's a circumstance I've been offered that very few people get, where they could see my feet and I would get $5,000 out of it. And how is that any different to me showing my face on stream and getting money out of it? Because people are jerking off to that too. I'm not here showing my face because I'm hoping that someone's going to send me a cum tribute picture later. But people do. People DM me pictures of screenshots of them jizzing on their screens with me on the screen. Like, so many people do that. And it's like, I'm not doing this for it, but that's what happens. So if it's going to happen either way, why shouldn't I be compensated? This is traumatizing. Surely I should be compensated if people are ranking. And it's like, and so like, there's this weird dichotomy in my head where it's like, I feel like either way, I feel like I'm being humiliated. Because I'm either being humiliated because I'm being shamed out of getting money for something I'm doing for free, and the only difference is the money. Like, people see my feet for free. I'm on Wiki Feet. That's not being fixed anytime soon. There have been times where I've walked around and I didn't know my feet were in the screen. I didn't even think about it, didn't care. And people have taken screenshots of it and they have posted it on Wiki Feet, and there are hundreds of these photos, and people are jerking off to them. So people are jerking off to my feet, and I didn't even try right now. The only difference that I'm deciding is whether or not I get $5,000 out of it. And people congratulate me for this choice, and I make this choice every day and have been making this choice for nearly 10 years. And it makes no sense to me either way, because either I feel demeaned because I'm surrounded by these horrible men who don't like me and are throwing money at me and like, I've jerked off to you and I can hate you now and I can disrespect you now because I need to disrespect you because otherwise this is submission. Right? And so they're like, I'm gonna treat you like a queen. I'm attracted to you. I'm gonna give you all my money, but I hate you and you're beneath me still. Just remember that. And I'm like, oh, I can't stand you and I don't want to work for you. And that's so fucking weird. No, I don't want to work for those guys. I'll take the pay cut. And on the other hand, people are like, what are you doing? You're letting the men deny you money. They're doing this anyway. They're just making sure that you don't benefit from it. That's all that's happening. They've just shamed you out of benefiting from it. They're doing it anyway. They're jerking off to your feet anyway. And so, like, and so what's happened is both choices kind of feel uncomfortable, but I've stuck with the one that is reversible. That's what I've done. I have sat here making no money and decided that the decision that is the least regrettable is the most reversible one, right? Because putting my feet on becoming a sex worker is a big choice, a big life-changing choice, right? Even if it's just feet pics, you're still a sex worker. And the men are desperate to hate you. So that's it, I get to hate you now. I get a legitimate reason to fucking hate you. And I can hate you every day, and I can send death threats, and I can harass you every day now because you're a whore. Where before you weren't a whore, so I had to respect you, and that was kind of boring. But now I get to disrespect you while I jerk off, and that's so comfortable for me because I still get to feel like I'm in charge, right? And so like, and then, so like if I do the feet pics or whatever, I'm sat there and I can't undo it. I can't take that off my resume. It's there forever and people will forever remember it and it will always impact what I do for the rest of my life. I hate kids, but if I ever wanted to be like, if I ever wanted to work as a school teacher or something, people go, no, you can't let her teach school kids. She showed her feet 10 years ago for money. Right? And so I've picked the least life-ruining of the two, which is so tragic because men made it life-ruining to benefit from something they're doing to me anyway. Which feels demeaning and makes me go full circle going, well, if they're doing it anyway, I might as well benefit from it. And then I'm like, well, no, because all the reasons I just said, and I circle, and I circle, and I circle, and I circle. They're selling your feet? They're not selling my feet. They're just jerking off to it either way. People are jerking off to my feet, whether I sell the feet pics or not. The only difference is the $5,000 I get per customer, apparently. And like, I'm lucky because you guys have been amazing and you've made me do really well off streaming. So I don't really have to think about it too hard because I'm very, very comfortable not surrounding myself with those people who want to hate me and jerk off to me at the same time. Like, no people who jerk off to like fucking OnlyFans people like those OnlyFans people. They hate that they like those OnlyFans people. They see it as a vice. They're like, I hate that I have this compulsion to give all my resources and time to somebody who is hot. Like, I wish I could choose not to do that. And rather than face that within myself, I'm just going to project all those feelings on you. Right? And so, I don't know, like, and the funny, I get to make the choice and be like, I'm comfortable. I'm not being forced. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm panicking. I'm going to lose everything if I don't find some money tomorrow. This is my only choice. I'm so lucky that if I ever do it, it's my choice, right? But I don't want to. And I feel like something has been taken from me either way, whether I do it or I don't. And that's just so weird. It's so stupid that we live in a society that's so unself-aware. Once you start selling feet because they won't be worth 5 grand anymore because they aren't unobtainable. Well, that's the thing. There are ways where you can wrangle it where they're still worth a lot more than the average. So if you just whip out all of the toes first day, then yeah, it goes from being worth lots of money to worth nothing in an instant. But you don't show all the toes at once. You don't give people the money shot. You don't, like, I feel like there are a lot of content creators who just cheapen their own work, but I know how not to do that, which is a useless skill because I'm not doing it. But the funniest thing is, Mirage Legion Gaming, thank you so much for the prime. So the reason why I bring all this to you is because it's weird saying this to you, because I feel like a lot of you, weirdly, I have this weird audience where I get the impression that if I did it, you guys would still like me, which is weird because I feel like a lot of people who don't do it, they would lose that audience if they did, because a lot of people are like, I can only respect you if you don't benefit from me being horny over you, but like, you guys are like measured people. So I'm not doing it for you. And I feel like a lot of you people, if you were in my position and someone was like, if you show me a picture of your armpit, I'll give you $1,000, you would do it. Like, press 1 if you would show your armpit for $1,000. You don't care what the guy's gonna do with it. He could jerk off to it. He could send it to his family. He could imprint it in gold and send it into space. All you care. Like, press 1 if you would sell a picture of your armpit for $1,000 today, if you had the offer. No, I 100% would. Absolutely. I know there are people in chat who'd go further. Press 1 if you would sell your butthole pics. If it would make you a millionaire. If you would get like 700 grand a month if you showed your butthole. Press 1 if you'd show your butthole. Mac chats, thank you so much. There you go. And I know this about you guys because some of you are my friends that I actually hang out with in real life, and my friends have seen me. They've been sat next to me in the room, and they've seen little pop-ups come up, whispers and DMs from random people because my DMs are open. And they'll see like some random guy be like, I will give you this much money for a picture of this. And I just close it and carry on playing games. And they're like, hang on a minute, hang on. I could give them my pictures and you could cut them in. Like, I've got friends who are willing to be whores for me. And some, like, there was a guy who was like, I would give you this much money for a picture of your boyfriend's ass. And I didn't have a boyfriend, but I had a friend sat next to me who was gaming, and he was like, I could be a boyfriend's ass if you wanted that money. Cut me in. Like, my friends are already preemptively trying to solicit themselves through me. My male friends are little whores. Unashamedly little whores. They're like, I will shave my toe hair, please. Just sell my feet pics. I don't even care if they see my feet. They don't get it. But they've got nothing to lose because, like, if some guy gets obsessed with them, that guy isn't gonna go to their house and start jerking off starfished against their window when they open the curtains, just jerking off through the window, going, where are you going, lovely, my love, my wife, my darling? They're gonna come to fucking my house. For them, it's risk-free. That's true. Fuck. Yeah. Of course they're offering their asses and whatever the fuck else the internet wants. Because they ain't got nothing to lose. So, like, I am in such a weird place where ethically I see nothing wrong with sex work. And I'm happy for people who do it. And I'm just randomly denying myself 5 grand per fucking foot pic. And I'm supposed to feel good about it. And people are patting me on the head, and I don't even like the head pats. I'm not even doing it for the head pats because I'm kind of grossed out by the people like, good girl, you respect yourself. And it's like, if I respected myself, I'd take the 5 grand and say, fuck all you and your stupid opinions. Surely not giving a fuck what people think and having what you want is self-respect. Surely the people who do the sex work are actually pretty self-respectful. Because they're not letting silly little things like stigma and other people's opinions get in the way of them and their finances and what they want from life. And they're fucking acing at life. Whenever I see my sex worker friends who are doing really well, they're like, yeah, I had like this really cool wedding, and me and my partner went on this elaborate honeymoon, and I got to take my entire family because I'm so rich. And like they're beaming, glowing, happy, living life, right? I've never seen anyone who's like, oh yeah, I'm making so much money and it's miserable. Just waking up, sending a few booty hole pics before I get in the shower, because they wouldn't like if it was after the shower. And then, just going about my day. Sip coins, exactly. So, I don't know. I feel like this whole idea that it's shameful to be hot or beautiful is just men nerfing women to compete with them for dominance. Because men's natural instinct when they see a hot woman is to submit to her. And that this is the whole reason why they say, cover yourself up. And they get really angry. Because, like, I see people that I'm not attracted to be scantily clad, be topless, whatever, show their skin, and I'm fine with it. And I'm just really comfortable. I'm not like obsessing over it. I'm not having to will myself not to look at them. When I go to the gym and there are hot girls there and they're wearing such tight clothing, I know exactly what they look like naked, even though they're not naked. I'm fine with it. Really, really fine with it. I don't care. The only people who care are the people like, damn it, you're wrestling me into submission. I have the urge to give you my affection, my attention, my time, my efforts, my everything, to give you my money, to give me my everything. I just want to focus on you. I just hate it so much and I can't control it. I can't control this urge. And you're controlling me with your booty shorts. And I think that's the whole reason. So, like, I don't think it's shameless. I don't think they should be shamed of being hot. If people looking at you in fully clothed, like just even just in your bikini or whatever, things that you would wear in your day to day, if people want to go work, are so excited by the sheer beauty of you that they want to jerk off over it and they would pay just to gaze upon your beauty. I don't think that that is actually shameful. I don't think it ever has been shameful. I think society tries to make it look shameful because we just really, really don't want women to control men with their beauty or to benefit from their beauty. And that's why we call it vain for a woman to go, yeah, I'm hot. Like women, we're allowed to say she's hot, but if she goes, yeah, I'm hot, and she agrees with you, people are like, ah, you're a narcissist, you're vain, ah, and all she's doing is admiring exactly the same view you are. And like I feel like that comes from just nerfing women, from just nerfing beauty, from pressuring people to be beautiful, but also really doubling down on the pressure for them not to benefit from it. You're allowed to be beautiful. In fact, you should be beautiful. You should be really thin all the time. You should have great hair all the time. You should look fantastic all the time. But you should never benefit from it because that would be disgusting. You would be disrespecting yourself by benefiting from it. Women be pretty, that's my standpoint. Yeah, I kind of like when women are pretty too. I'm very impressed. I like it when men are pretty. I think it's even rarer when men are pretty because men face consequences for it too. Like if men look beautiful, men target them horribly. Um, because beautiful men get women, and they get women especially when they look feminine as well. Like if you have like long hair and kind of like that androgynous beauty, a lot of women fucking love that look, but men will attack them for it physically. And for lots of reasons. Sometimes it's because they're getting an awkward boner about it, and they're like, "You're confusing me. I want to believe that I'm straight, and you're destroying my concept of self." And rather than deal with my conflicting feelings, I'd rather just have a conflict with you, right? There's some people who are just like, "This is giving me an awkward boner," but there are also people who are just like, "I don't like competing with you. I've been told all my life that if I'm masculine and manly, that women will fall at my feet, and if you are feminine and beautiful and pretty." Then you destroy this idea that I will get a reward for being manly, and you destroy the status quo where we get awarded for being manly, and I was manly and suppressed all my feelings for no reason when I could have just been like you, right? And a lot of people just get mad at that, and they really attack pretty men. And I watched that too growing up because my mom dated a very pretty man who was quite feminine, and he wore skirts and stuff, and he always had his hair in pigtails and stuff like this, and women fucking loved him. Women crawling to get with him. he just had so many options all of the time. And men hated it. They were so enraged about it. They were so fucking angry. And like he wasn't gay, and everyone knew he wasn't gay, but a lot of the attacks were homophobic. A lot of guys were like beating him up in the street and stuff and attacking him and using like F slurs and stuff. They were like, how dare you act as lowly as a woman? How dare you dress like a woman? You're not allowed. So like, yeah, I've seen that too. Like beauty is just people really don't like it when people benefit from beauty. They don't like it. They fucking hate it, but they still do it and they can't control themselves. So like the halo effect is one of those examples. You ever heard of the halo effect? Where people they trust you more if you're attractive, they believe you more often if you're attractive, you get a lower sentence by a judge in court if you're attractive. Like the halo effect, right? So people will do that for you, but also call bullshit if you get any privileges for being beautiful. So they'll hold the door open for you, smile at you, give you lots of attention, believe you more, all this stuff, and then go, this is bullshit. You're getting more than me just because you're hot. Don't think you're more important than me just because you're hot. Bro was really comfortable with himself. Yeah, he was. I feel like you have to be very, very secure in yourself to be a man and not stick to rigid man things. Like, there's like this quota of things you're allowed to wear at a celebration. There's a certain amount of makeup you're allowed to wear, and anything beyond that, you will get ostracized for. There's a certain behavior, a certain amount of emotions, blah, blah, blah. There's a box that men are put in. And if you deviate from it even slightly, you will be punished. And that is bullshit. I hate that. But as well, like you have to be very brave. You have to have a lot of self-respect to do things that please you, even if it displeases everyone else. And I think that can be said about just like basic beauty and things like this. Definitely, Prince stole everyone's girl. Yeah, Prince is a really good example of this. There are so many people like that throughout history. So yeah, I don't think so my conclusion on that whole rant is just I don't think there's a way to comfortably respect yourself um as a content creator. Like, because if you respect yourself by getting that bag and, taking those photos, people will punish you for it, but if you don't, people will punish you for it too. Are you dating? I kind of feel like I'm never dating because the only relationships I've ever comfortably gotten. Okay, let me just reply to this one and you can run that down now. I feel like dating doesn't really work, and that the kind of if you're looking for a long-term bond where you connect with someone and you love them for the rest of your life, which is what a lot of people aim for, not everybody, and it's okay if you don't want that, but like if you want that kind of like monogamous best friend partner kind of thing, that doesn't really come from like eating spaghetti in front of someone or sitting quietly in a movie theater next to someone. It comes from developing bonds with multiple people that are platonic and then seeing one particular bond as extra special and expanding on that over time. And so for me, I've never gotten a partner through dating. I've had partners for like 6, 7 years. I've had 6, 7 year relationships twice. And like I feel like in those circumstances, they came from long-term friendships first. So I don't date ever. Like there's nobody that I would ever walk up to and be like, hey, I like the look of you. Can I please, take you somewhere and get to know you better and, see where it goes? Like none of that really applies to me. I don't think I bond genitals first. And I feel like when you start hanging out with someone, you start seeing someone to see where it goes, you're skipping past all of the connection and skipping to like the romantic part first and the physical attraction part first and seeing if it's deeper than that as you go and if it's not, breaking it off, right? And I feel like firstly women aren't as easily in a position to do that as men are because the more people you sleep with, the more society punishes you, so you can't just like go into dating puss first and be like, I'm attracted to you, you turn me on, let's just start sleeping with each other and being all couplesy, and if we have a deeper connection, we'll see where it goes, right? It's harder for women to get away with doing that. We don't have an environment where women can safely do that. And so, like, it's not easy anyway, unless you're willing to deal with the enforced consequences people will push on you. So I kind of feel like, yeah, I'm never dating. I'm never actively seeking people to take on dates. That's just not what I do. I tried to be that person once and it just didn't work out. And I was like, yeah, I just don't think this is for me. I tried to take a guy on a date and we went on a couple of dates. Turned out he had a girlfriend. I never even kissed him. Never even held his hand, luckily. But like yeah, I was just like, none of this experience really suits me anyway. I don't think I'll be trying this again.
We're really glad that you're feeling much better and that you found a medicine that actually works for you and your symptoms. Hope you can rest up well still and take it easy the next few days. As always, it's good to have you back, dude.
Thanks, Sonny. I appreciate it. So yeah, I hope that reply fits and you understand that reply. I guess I'm just never dating. I don't feel like dating is how I would get a mate. I don't know how many. Press one if you've seen Project Hail Mary, by the way. Because if you haven't, I've got to say it's a really, really, really good movie. I need to. It's so good. I mean, you can watch it for a fiver on Amazon right now. It's on sale. Like, it would normally be £15 to rent so soon, but it's a fiver right now. I can see your nipple. I can guarantee you 100%, bitch, that you are not seeing my nipple. I don't know what you think you're seeing. I don't know if this is just an anatomy fail because you fuck dads because you don't see women very often, but like there definitely aren't any nipples on show. I know that without even looking. I know that. Like my bra is so thick, like you could shine a torch through it and the light wouldn't go through. So there is absolutely no nipple on show. Hi. Thanks, Lost Boy. I appreciate it. But I will let you into a secret. I think a lot of guys don't realize that stitching. So when you have like a domed surface underneath cloth, the way that you create a dome is that you create a pinch right in the middle at the apex of where it'll be the most domey, like the highest point of the dome. So up here. If it's the two boobies, up here, right at the top, where the nipple would be. There's often stitching. So I don't know if people are mistaking stitching on dress. Like there's a line of stitching in the middle that usually goes from where exactly a nipple would be. There's usually stitching there. So I think that sometimes men just don't look at boobs very much and they just mistake stitching for like nipples. Does the stitching feel uncomfortable? No, because it's only against my bra. It's not actually against my boobs. But also like you have stitching, like, you know, most tops have like stitching along here, along this side bit here, right? So like in those circumstances, most people have that against them all the time and they don't feel it. like the hemline. Yeah, it's not uncomfortable there, so why would it be uncomfortable anywhere else? But, like, I'm the kind of person who has made an active choice not to put, like, all my dangly doodads and giblets out there, and so, like, I'm wearing a lot to make sure that that does not happen. Like, I'm usually wearing, like a leotard underneath dresses and stuff, and I'm wearing shorts as well underneath my skirt. So there's never gonna be a situation where you're gonna see something like that. Want to explore cucking with my girlfriend, how do I do that? Okay, Cam, I'm just gonna lay it out there. Why do you think I would know? Like, I've never needed to explore cucking with my girlfriend. I've never had a girlfriend where I've looked at her and gone, I really need to see you fuck someone else at my expense. Like, why did you think this was a skill set I have? I mean, I can make recommendations, bitch, but it is gonna be a stab in the dark. It is gonna be like, if I was gonna approximate how to deal with that situation as an outsider. And to be honest with you, if I had a girlfriend and I'd be like really turned on if she cucked me, I think I would just literally say, listen, you do not have to do this just because I find it appealing. But if you ever wanted to cuck me, I'd be down. You don't have to. And this can just be something you know about me that we never explore, but that's just how I would lay it out. Like, I think we'd be eating dinner together and I'd turn to them and I'd just be like, I'd let you cuck me if you wanted to. You know? Over some steak and peas, I'd just be like, yeah, I've been thinking about it. I've been fantasizing about it. You don't have to do it though. I just say it that calmly. Because if you're not in a relationship where you can just say shit like that, you're not in a relationship at all. I think that's how I'd go at it. But like, I would not like to be cucked, just to lay it out there for anyone who's just hopped in. That is a hypothetical about how to discuss that with your partner, but it's not my thing. Like, I do not want to share a partner. I don't share. No. No. I think you have to be really secure in yourself, and have a really good mindset about your relationship, to be able to add other people into it. And I've just never been that mature. So I can admire people who are up for that sort of thing, but for me, and you never know, like, if I found someone and I was with them for, like, 80 years or some shit, like, in that situation, I could understand if maybe we needed to spice things up a little. I could understand if we changed our minds down the line about things, but as it stands, I've never been in a relationship, no matter how many years, where I've felt the need to dip my doodads in anyone else's danglies. I've never had to do the old smushing rainbows with anyone else while I've been in a relationship. Never even desired anyone else while I'm in a relationship. Never even jerked off to a fantasy about other people while I've been in a relationship. Are you possessed? What a question. Well, some people are just really deliberating that stuff. Some people are just at that point in their life where, like, damn it, I've been with my girlfriend for a while. I think it's time to have the conversation. I don't know why you'd ask a streamer though. Like, if you've ever been in a room with a bunch of streamers, you'll realize we don't have any life skills. We sit in front of a screen. A lot of them don't even know how to hold an in-person conversation properly. None of us. You know, like awkward dogs, like there's an awkward dog thing where people bring dogs that aren't very social to socialize with other awkward dogs, and they all just stand in the corner looking at each other and side-eyeing each other sheepishly. That's what it's like going to like streamer parties and shit. I swear to fucking God. Every single streamer, no matter how Giga Chad they seem on screen, is an awkward penguin in real life, okay? I guarantee you, like, less than a thimbleful of fucking streamers have ever had girlfriends, let alone had girlfriends that they wanted to get cucked by. Let alone ever had to ask their girlfriend if they wanted if she wanted to cuck them. It makes me wonder how many people have said, "Hey, I have this fantasy about you cucking me," and the girlfriend's been like, "Well, you're in luck because I've already been doing that. You could just stand in the cupboard now." No, but that's cheating, I guess. But if that's your fantasy all along, what do you do with that? Is that like a cry boner? What happens? Are you happy or sad about that? Are you like, "Oh, you dirty bitch," or are you like, "Oh, you dirty bitch"? Like, which one is it? Got another dono. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was not aware that the audio is doubling up, but I do not know what to do about that. So you might hear a double dono sound. Go ahead and run it. Okay.
First time I tune into your stream and I thought I would just watch for a minute and hop out. Turns out I've already been sitting here for 40 minutes and still entertained.
Hey! Well, that's good. Bitch, I'm really happy that you have enjoyed your stay. We've had a bit of a weird convo today, but I'm glad you're enjoying it. So is the guy who's asking his girlfriend how to cut, like, is he still here? Because I guess he would be able to answer me. Like, what if she's already cucking you? Is that a win or a loss? I don't really know a lot of cucks. I know some people who are like in open relationships who like share a partner or like have threesomes and orgies and things like that. And but like I feel like that's kind of different. Yeah, I know poly people too. It's a win for sure. Huh. Well, thank you for the answer. Because like I do know I for someone who doesn't cuck, I'm gonna stress this. As someone who doesn't cuck anyone, it would break my heart to hurt my partner's feelings. If I had a partner, like the idea of hurting them in any way would give me nightmares. Like I would wake up in a hot sweat. Like, no, right? So like it's not a turn on. Um, but like I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, I do know a fair bit about cooking. And one of the things that I know, despite everything, thanks for the super chat. I'm going to eat a mince pie in 5 minutes. Good night. Enjoy the mince pie. How very unseasonal. But yeah, like where was I going with this? God, this is so all over the place. I know about cucks that it's really, really hard to find somebody who's willing to be in the bedroom and just be stared at by some random gooner in the corner. Okay? So like usually that detracts from it for most people. It like the hardest thing about being a cuck is usually not convincing your partner. It's convincing your partner's cheating person. You know, like not many people want to outside of a relationship cuck some random guy they don't know. So like she might have no problem finding someone to sleep with. She will have a problem finding someone to sleep with who's cool with you sitting and wanking in the corner. It's too weird, lol. Yeah, so like, um, imagine coming around to a girl's house and she's taking you for sexy times, and then she's like, "Oh, that's Bill. Don't mind him. He just wants you to pretend he's not there." And there's just some random guy in the corner eating chips, just like, "Hey, don't mind me. I'm not here," crunching loudly in the corner. Yeah, it'd be a bit weird. Exactly. So that's the hard part. Everyone thinks it's like telling your partner you want to be cucked. Nobody. The next step. Good luck with the next step after that. I never really thought of that. Yeah, it's really, really hard. So quite often people who enjoy cucking have a regular or two. Like if you live in a small town or whatever, there might be like maybe 3 people if you're lucky that you ever find who are willing and enjoying this setup, right? So, like, you go to a friend that you know every now and again and go, "Hey, can you do the thing again?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And then you have sex in front of your partner. And the thing with cucks is they don't just want to see you sleep with somebody else, right? They specifically, quite often, want to be humiliated during the process. So they want, like, their girlfriend to turn to them and say, "Yeah, you like that? He's so much more of a man than you. He's doing so much better than you ever could. This guy is amazing. You could never." Like, they want you to say things like, "Oh, wow, yours is so much bigger than my boyfriend's." These sorts of things. They want you to make it hurt. It's not just sharing the partner, it's the humiliation of your partner going to somebody else for their needs. How do you know all this? Because I have a very certain kind of mind that is very, very uncomfortable with not understanding something. I need to understand it. And so when I initially heard that there were people out there who cucked, there were cuck kings and cuck queens, right? Both men and women who love to be cucked and humiliated. I was like, why? What could possibly be enjoyable about this? That sounds horrible. That sounds like my worst nightmare. How are you enjoying this? Right? And so rather than kink shame, I just kink asked. Okay? Because I was like, there must be some way that people are enjoying this. I just don't know it yet. And so I wanted to know, not for any personal reason. I didn't gain anything personally from knowing, except the satisfaction of understanding. And I am. I'm pretty satisfied that I understand why people like to be cucked. It just doesn't appeal to me. In the same way that, like, I understand why people like certain foods, but I just don't enjoy those foods. You know? And I feel like 99% of the discomfort you feel about other people's kinks is just because you don't get it. So now I have the superpower of being pretty comfortable around people no matter what kink they have. You know? And I feel like it made me smarter. There was a stage in my life where I was like a teenager and I used to think it can't be love if it's poly. It can't be love if you're sharing your partner. Like, why would, if you loved someone, you wouldn't want to be sharing them. And I feel like I look back at that view I had when I was like 16 or whatever, and I'm like, you dumbass. And like, I know better now. And I know that people can love each other deeply and just feel differently about sex than other people do. It's not that they feel differently about each other, it's just that they feel differently about sex than a monogamous person does. Along the same vein, do you think any kinks are misunderstood or underrated? Absolutely. Absolutely. Smuggling. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bitch. I think period fetishes are misunderstood. Feet fetishes are misunderstood. Absolutely. I think that a lot of women, probably if I told you that there are men out there with a period fetish, they're probably like, ew, ew. And I'm like, no, bitch, think it through. Most men will make you feel disgusting when you go through your monthly. Like, that is a natural part of your existence. For most of your existence, you're going to have a monthly period, right? This person's going to make you feel attractive and beautiful. You're still going to get head. This person is going to really enjoy a specific period of time that most men will shame you for, hate you for, and make you feel disgusting during that time. And they're going to love it. They're going to absolutely fucking love it. So you just get to feel hot and attractive and desired every day of the month. Every day of the month. And there is literally no downside to that. None. And they're like, oh. Like, whenever I talk them around, I'm like, wait a minute. Think about it. Vampires are people too. Yeah. And it's like, I say that I don't have a period fetish. I don't know anyone with a period fetish. But when I actually listen to someone talk about why they're into periods and like how they go about being into periods, I was like, oh, that would actually be a bonus. That's a feature, not a bug. Yeah. Strangest kink you've heard of. Um Vorophiles. So I have a beef with vorophiles because some of them like watching animals be eaten alive and will pay to watch animals be eaten alive, and that's horrible. But some vorophiles are completely harmless. So like for example, they just think about it in their minds and they don't want other people to be consumed. They want to be consumed themselves, but they want to survive it. So they only fantasize about it. And so there was a guy, um he paid sex workers and he traveled for business. And in his briefcase, he would have this fold up oven that's made out of cardboard that he made himself. And what he would do is he would make this oven, he would build it when he had a sex worker come to his like hotel room or whatever, and he would sit in it and he would have the sex worker read him a version of Hansel and Gretel that he wrote himself, where he gets consumed, where he's Hansel and the evil wicked witch chops him up and cooks him up and makes him into a meal and then digests him. And the story gets really in depth about the feeling of being chewed and swallowed and being in her belly and traveling through her digestive system. And he would not have to touch himself at all. He could climax from just sitting in the cardboard oven and listening to her read the story to him. That's her entire job. She doesn't have to touch him. He doesn't have to touch himself. That will get him off. That's a pretty awesome gig for her, honestly. A lot of sex workers, quite often, because like a lot of men are terrified to talk about their feelings, so they will hire a sex worker and just treat her like a therapist, and that is so common. Like so many sex workers are like, "Yep, there are many clients I have who just talk to me and cry a little, and I just cuddle them a bit and go, there." Like I've heard it so much. Yep. So, like, a lot of sex workers have some crazy good gigs, and some of them are very, very weird. Okay, I hope you're not eating right now. Mince pie guy, I need you to just look away for a minute. Just turn off mute for like a minute, okay? Um, there are some women who get paid to just poop in a dog bowl, and then the guy will just come over, sit there, eat it out of the dog bowl, give her money, and leave. And all she has to do is just watch him eat it. I feel like that would be too much meat. There would not be enough money in the world to convince me. I would never want to see someone eat it. Recycling? Yeah, I could never do that. No! So strange, isn't it? Like I feel like I would vom. You have inside knowledge. Yeah, of course. But it really goes to show it's crazy what people will pay for. Like, there are people out there paying £1,000 plus for services like that. I'm not joking, I'm not exaggerating. There are people paying a lot of money to connect with someone in that specific way. And, like, I have a big question. Why are most of them dudes? Like, 99% of the people paying for farts in a jar or people paying for used dirty panties, 99% of the people pooping in their diapers and having people clean it off of them and stuff, 99% of the people who have these unusual niche fetishes are dudes for some reason. And why is that? Is that because there would be women in this position, but women are more sexually oppressed? Like, women's desires are like kind of like people like, you're not allowed to want sex. That's gross. Do you think it's that? Or do you think there's just something exceptional about men that means that they have a broader scope of what they can be aroused by? If you can answer that, that's another PhD thesis. I think there probably is an answer already. We probably know the exact physical mechanism as to why men have a broader scope of what they can be aroused by than women. But then, even when I say that, most of the studies that we've done on men and women show that women are actually have a broader scope than men, which is really weird, at least visually. So, like, when women are shown a broad spectrum of things, sexual material, and men are, and then their arousal levels are detected with a device on their genitals and and tracking their brain activity, men are actually sexually responding to fewer things than women are. Women are actually scientifically proven to be more visual creatures and to have a broader scope of things they're aroused by than men. So why is it in the sexual market Men are the ones buying used undies from vending machines in Japan, for example. And there just aren't very many women doing that. I'm sure there are women doing that, but it's very, very small by comparison. And I just really, really wonder why. Vending machines? Okay, I don't know whether that response is because you're like, wait, there's been vending machines? I could get this from this whole time? Or if you're just like, what the fuck? There are vending machines with used undies in. I don't know which one it is. We're on the internet here. Yeah, I can't tell the difference between shock and awe in text version. Because feeling satisfied is at such a low bar for women that they don't have to desire obscure things to be satisfied. Are you saying that women are just easier pleased? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm trying to compute that, Peaks, because this I'm enjoying the dialogue here. I'm enjoying the back and forth. So let's get into this. Do you think that women are just easier pleased? Because I would say no. I'd say that women, it's more mental stimuli than physical, and that it's harder for women to climax than men. So you'd think that it would make sense for women to come up with all the obscure shit. To be honest though, women do have obscure things. It's just things like vampire novels and stuff. Whenever you see like women's Hear Me Out, you'll find that they're having fantasies about really weird monsters or concepts and things like this, right? Now, women are just as kinky as men, they're just judgmental. I think that to an extent I agree with you there, but I don't think that women are just as likely to buy a pair of used underwear. I don't think that women are just as likely to buy a fart in a jar. I don't think that women are just as likely to spend all of their life savings on OnlyFans. I do think that there is some sexual behavior that's more prolific among men, but I don't know why. And I've seen some people be really judgmental about it and be like, oh, men are just more gross. And I don't really think that's the summary. There are gross women, absolutely. I don't think it's like how morally okay or like I don't think it's like a disgust thing. I don't think it's like women are just nicer and men are just icky. I think there's like something physiological or societal or something going on. And it's been going on for many, 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 many thousands of years, whatever it is. Ghosties, thank you so much. But like, maybe it's just me, and maybe this is very individual. But from a personal perspective, I've never had a sexual urge that has been uncontrollable, that I regret feeling and feel angry at myself for participating in, but do anyway. And I feel like 100% of men I've met fall into the latter category. I feel like they do have something that they sexually participate in, but they are mad at themselves for doing so. They would never admit that they do it, but they still do it. And I've never been tempted to do something sexually that I would be upset about, that I just couldn't resist and would do anyway. Like, I've never had a sexual urge where I'm like, that's gross and I shouldn't do that, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, never. Like, if I think that something is like, oh, I probably shouldn't do that, that makes it off-putting. That's good. Oh, wait, no. I'm not like, yay, go me. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if this is as a woman or if it's just a unique thing, right? But I know of most men where they've had something called post-nut clarity. I've never had post-nut clarity. I've never been like in a wank coma, morally bereft, until I actually look with a clear mind, and now that I'm not horny, go, oh, maybe this was fucked up. Whoops. I think that might have to do with libido. But I've had really high libido. I've had like periods of my life where I have had an insatiable sexual hunger, and at no point during that time or those periods have I ever had post-nut clarity. Like, what I did about it was I had a wank, and all it led to was me having a wank more often for a while. That was it. At no point did I start engaging with material or behavior that I didn't feel proud of and probably wouldn't admit to anyone and would delete from my search history, but couldn't stop myself from doing so. And so, like, I've never had a negative relationship with my sexuality. Never. And I think that that is really interesting. Like, I don't fully understand that yet, and I pay a lot of attention to people describing their kinks and their sexual behavior and things like that. I know a lot about it. I'm interested. I love listening to people describe this stuff because I like understanding it, right? I like understanding people. It's just fun, right? It's just another layer of psychology to me. And the thing that I haven't quite crystallized, like, these probing questions are not to shame anyone. It's just I do not know what it feels like, and I know it in other sensations, like with hunger. There's definitely times where I'm hungry and I will eat something that's bad for me and I wish I hadn't eaten it. Like a whole pizza or like a bunch of chocolate bars all in one go. Like, and like that's the closest thing I've ever had to post-nut clarity. Is after I'm full and I've eaten, going, oh fuck, maybe an entire pizza wasn't the best option. And even then, like, that's not even anywhere close. I think a closer thing would be, like, say, if a vegan ate meat, like, they had a craving for meat and they know they shouldn't and they don't want to, and it's ethically against everything they stand for and they do it anyway, right? But I'm a vegan and I've never done that. I've never been, like, so tempted by something that I shouldn't eat that I ate it anyway. And I'm really impulsive. I don't have any self-control. But the thing is, I'm not experiencing this thing where the fact that I'm morally opposed to something, like if I'm morally opposed to something, it makes it unappealing to me. And I don't think everybody has that. I think some people are morally opposed to something, but they still want it. And that occurs a lot with men and their sexual appetite. Like, on some level, they will feel like they probably shouldn't be masturbating to this, or they probably shouldn't be attracted to that, but they still do it. Or they probably shouldn't spend all their money on sex workers, or they probably shouldn't book a sex worker for their stag party, but they do it anyway. Or they probably shouldn't cheat on their wife, who's had 2 kids for them, but they do it anyway. And, like, I haven't crystallized, like, what does that feel like? How does that happen? What is that? Because a lot of people put it down to, like, oh, just poor decision making or selfishness. I don't think that that entirely explains everything about it, though. Like, I think that there might be something more to it. Because everyone is capable of being selfish, and everyone is capable of, like, being morally bereft. Both men and women are capable of being immoral or being hypocritical. But men are more likely to get addicted to OnlyFans and spend their life savings, for example. Very few women have blown their college fund on male sex workers on OnlyFans. Like, I don't know any woman who's lost their college fund to pictures of men's assholes. But there's at least 12 men out there. I bet it's an underestimate. There's at least 12 men out there who have destroyed their future to look at someone's chocolate starfish. And I know this has been a long-term problem that isn't societal either, because there's an ancient folklore from like the Middle East. Someone was reading it out to me on TikTok, this ancient story that's like nearly a couple of thousand years old. And it's about a woman who's really, really attractive. And this guy, his family has this secret, and it's like this device that gives you anything you wish for. It's like a bottomless pit. I think it's like a coin purse that just endlessly manifests coins. And like there's this beautiful princess, and he's obsessed with her, and he's not allowed to tell. This is his family secret. He's not allowed to tell anyone he has this infinite coin purse, but he does. He tells her, and then he gives it to her, and like he does it against his own will. And all I was thinking while reading this, like hearing the story, was that this has been a long-standing thing. That like there are just inherently more men than women, and have been for so long, that are willing to destroy their future for sex or for sexual gratification or out of attraction. But there's this like weird like dichotomy where men vie to be dominant, but immediately submit to women that they're attracted to. Submit everything to women that are attracted to and can't help themselves, even to their own detriment. And I'm beginning to ask the question, is this physiological? I don't think this is a personal choice or something people can will themselves out of. It looks purely, devastatingly involuntarily. Like, it looks I'm not gonna infantilize men by saying they can't make decisions for themselves and that they're not in control of all their actions, but I am gonna say, like, this pull looks more physiologically based than just pure mentally. That only proves that men love their women deeply. I don't think that men who waste all their money on OnlyFans are in love with all the women that they blow their money and their loads on. I don't think that that is love. Testosterone is one hell of a drug, but when you elevate the levels of testosterone in women, they don't behave the same way. And women are more sensitive to testosterone than men are and have testosterone. So the doses are actually pretty similar between men and women because women are more sensitive to testosterone. So, like, a lot of people think that testosterone is the man hormone, and it's just not. Both men and women need it in our bodies. So I don't think testosterone alone explains this. Because there are women with health conditions where they have elevated testosterone, and they're not behaving the same way that men do in this respect. A symptom of having elevated testosterone as a woman is not blowing all of your money on OnlyFans and porn addiction. And women can get porn addiction, but they're getting it at way lower rates than men are as well. Like, women are not immune to porn addiction, but we're just less vulnerable to it than men for some reason. So I do think there is the question of what is happening here. And I think as well, putting it down to just morals is kind of mean and unfounded in that there are psychological phenomena that get you addicted to things and make you behave in ways that are devastating. So a lot of people who are addicts and will literally sell their family's heirlooms for drug money and stuff, a lot of people who get that addicted to drugs have a gene in common. Not everybody gets addicted to drugs, but people who do quite often have a gene in common. A lot of people who are addicted to alcohol and addicted to gambling have the same gene. So there are negative behaviors that are not entirely because of your decision making. We're not all fighting the same battles. Not all of us feel hunger the same way. So I'm so certain not all of us feel horny in the same way. I don't feel like people feel attraction in the same way. Because, like, for some people, hunger is just like an ache behind your eyes. They don't even feel it in their stomachs. For some people, they don't realize they're hungry until they get tired because their stomach doesn't grumble. But for other people, their stomach grumbles. It feels like someone's gripping their stomach. They feel a tug and a pain in their stomach, and they can't focus on anything else other than that pain until they eat. And so, obviously, people who experience hunger that way are going to have a lot more trouble staying slim than somebody who doesn't even notice they're hungry until they get tired. And so I think that it's true. Like, I do think that attraction and horniness are experienced differently for people because women feel physical attraction. Women feel horny. Women have high libidos. I've met women with higher libidos than men. I do think that women are very sexual creatures. I think it's neglected and underestimated, but I do think women are highly sexual. I don't think that it's just that men are more sexual that makes them more risk takers and makes them do more regrettable things to get an arousal. And I think it's even stranger when you compound it with the fact that if you just look at a dick long enough, it comes. Like, a lot of men are very easily stimulated. So it seems even stranger that they're willing to, I don't know, go to prison for upskirting shots when you can literally look up a skirt for free on the internet consensually from someone who submitted a picture all by themselves. And there are still men out there who are chronically addicted to going onto trains and taking pictures up people's skirts non-consensually until they end up in prison. And, like, men are so easy to please. Dicks are so simple. Like, figuring out how to make a woman come, every new woman is a completely different woman with a completely different set of things that arouse her and get her there. The same thing does not apply to any other women. It usually only applies to one woman at a time. Men are quite universally easily aroused and easily brought to conclusion, right? And yet they are the ones seemingly doing the most, risking the most, sacrificing the most for an orgasm, which seems paradoxical. And these are questions I have that I can't understand specifically because I've just never experienced horniness as a man in a male's body being raised by a society that sees me as a man. Because I'm sure some of it's social too. Most men in cultures are still raised by trying their existence to their personality based on genitals, and women are raised the opposite way. But for me, that doesn't really crystallize the understanding of why. Because like women can be very horny, women can be visual creatures, women have more of a physical reason, like there is more biological incentive for women to be horny and visual creatures because we have to be more selective with our mates. A man can afford to just spread their seed with anybody because they do not have to bear pregnancy, they can have loads of kids, they can have loads of reproductive success being unchoosy. Women have to be choosy because they can't produce very many kids. So they have to make them the healthiest and most likely survive that they possibly can because they only get a handful of chances, right? They're only fertile for a tiny window of time and they can only have a tiny amount of children by comparison. So they have to make them good ones. So it stands to reason for them to be very visually stimulated, very attracted to men. Also, they have to risk pregnancy to have sex. So you have to be very highly motivated to have sex because you could have a crotch goblin burst its way out of your body and nearly kill you, if not kill you, on the way. So yes, we have to be very horny. Yes, we have to be very visually stimulated because, we give birth. So of course we're going to need a huge incentive to risk our lives for sex because that's what we have to do. We have to risk our lives for sex. Generally, men don't. Okay? So of course it makes sense that women are horny. Of course it makes sense that they are visual creatures. Of course, it makes sense that men want to claim that they're more visual and more horny, because that's just how it goes, But they're not. And so, with all of that in consideration, I think the idea that, it's just the way you're raised or whatever, that wouldn't make sense to me because we raise people differently everywhere. So, there would be way more women who were raised in a way that would make them sexually behave like men. But we don't really see a lot of parallels between male sexual behavior and female sexuality that are easily explained. And one of them is men risking criminal offenses to have sex. That is really bizarre to me. Risk-taking behavior for something you can do easily at home to the same level of satisfaction is a behavior that seems to happen much more among men than women. Like among sex crimes, overwhelmingly, men are more likely to commit sex crimes than women. Which I'm not going to talk about the moral basis of that or go into that in any other way than to just say and just draw a circle around why when there's porn. Why take all that risk onto yourself and all those consequences? Because you lose your job, your family, your everything. A lot of the people jerking off on trains onto people have families at home. People think it's like single creep behavior. No, a lot of people are not just losing their job and going to prison, they're losing families over this behavior. So, there is more to it than just some people are immoral, or men are just raised differently, or testosterone, because we can't replicate these results by just boosting testosterone in women. We can't make women more likely to do these things. And the post-nut clarity thing feels like a clue for me. Maybe I just need to ask more questions. Maybe we've studied this. Maybe we already know the answer. But it's so interesting to me that there's this level of involuntary behavior with men that I don't feel in myself. And it might not be. Maybe women do feel involuntary behavior. Maybe women do follow a good ass into trouble. Right? Maybe there are women with a high libido who are like, oh, damn it. And they wake up next to some guy they probably shouldn't have slept next to. Maybe that happens more often to other women. And maybe I'm just one of the very few people in general, male or female, who doesn't experience post-nut clarity, who doesn't look back and go, oh. A little self-control goes a long way. I just think it's more than that. And maybe there's a part to be said of maybe men are just more aroused by taboos than women are. But maybe the difference is that men are more risk takers. We know this generally. They're more risk takers in finance, in work, in all sorts. Men will just take more risks, generally speaking. And maybe that's it. Maybe the part of the male brain that enjoys risk-taking behavior is more active. And there's definitely a correlation between arousal and taboo. When something is not allowed or forbidden, people wank to it more. So if as a society, cleanliness is really, really important in a society, things that are considered dirty will also be considered sexual. Or for example, the top searches in Pornhub around the world are different, and that's cultural. So in homophobic countries, gay sex is the most searched for on Pornhub, for example. Everything that is the most taboo is the most sexualized. So maybe it's the relationship between male risk-taking behavior that makes them more likely to buy knickers in vending machines. Maybe that's it. But then I don't understand, like, but then I'm back and forthing now. Oh my god, help! Because like women will read books about all of this stuff, and they won't do crimes about it. Like, women are far more likely to read a book where like someone's sleeping with a fish merman or like doing some bestial shit with a werewolf or something. Women will fantasize about this stuff, but they won't wank on someone on a train. So I think that they are still wanking to taboo subjects. And that doesn't truly account for the difference. I mean, is it taboo though? I mean, I'd like to. I don't know where you live, and I don't know what you get up to, and I don't know what your circles are, but like sleeping with werewolves is considered taboo where I'm from. In my circles, that kind of stuff is still frowned upon. You're right. We haven't touched on the power and the thrill. Tiny Man Tim, I think that's actually a really good piece of the puzzle. Thank you. Like Tim said, I think it's more the idea of taking from someone, like stealing or killing someone. I think it's like the power and the thrill from it and not the result. I think we do really pressure men to feel inferior and to only feel temporarily masculine when they manage to dominate or control a situation or make a big show of being masculine. And so I do see sometimes in some people an endless craving to feel man enough that is never fully quenched. And I do think that that leaks into how you relate and connect to people, how you show your emotions, how you have sex, how you conduct yourself, how you parent your kids, everything. And so I'm not surprised if the power dynamic and the endless seeking of a power dynamic would play into it. Because I think like it plays into both extremes. Like, yes, men are more likely to do the forceful stuff, like wank on people on trains and stuff, but they're also more likely to pay someone to step on their balls, or pay to be humiliated. Like they'll pay for a power dynamic and the thrill of that power dynamic in both directions more than a woman will. They'll pay to be both dominant and humiliated far more often than a woman will for either. So maybe you're right. Maybe the discrepancy in the behavior is not about the accessibility or the satisfaction or the orgasm, because none of that would account for any of this. Maybe it's the power dynamic. Maybe men are more heavily like maybe male sexual behavior is more skewed through a lens of a power dynamic of a dom and a sub, a top and a bottom. Like maybe that's just more important to men than it is women. And so it plays a role in whether or not they buy farts or like because yeah, you do find a lot more men than women in some things. So maybe you're right. I hadn't thought of that. And it seems so blaringly obvious. I think it's incredibly more societal than we think, and in a utopia, you would find that people are pretty similar in this regard. See, I actually really hope you're right. I feel like that's the most comforting answer you could give me. Um, because not every kink needs to be solved, but I do think some of this behavior definitely does need to be resolved, and it looks more resolvable if it's not innate. Like, if this isn't your genetics or anything, if this isn't just an aspect of being a man, if it's societal, then it's, the negative parts of it can be fixed. Some of it doesn't need to be fixed, but the negative parts can. The part that makes me worry that you're wrong, but hope that you're right, but worry that you're wrong, is the flies I had in my kitchen. Because I had a fungus gnat infection and like infestation for a little while. I had all these tiny little microscopic buzzing flies everywhere. I had to deal with it. And luckily I didn't have to kill them to deal with it. I'm really happy about that, right? But they're gone now. But when they were here, there was a fungus gnat that I put a piece of paper down on the table. I didn't see it there, and it hit one, and it injured it really badly, and it crawled away. It dragged itself across the floor. It couldn't walk properly, and it couldn't fly properly. And I was like, oh no. And I looked at it really closely. I was like, is there anything I can do for you? There wasn't anything. It slowly died. And there was this other fly that came flying down next to it, and tried to lift it up and make it stand straight and couldn't make it stand straight and walked around it and kept touching it. And I was like, I killed your friend. I'm a monster. So I Googled it and I was like, do fungus gnats have friends? And the internet said no. They said, according to all the studies on fungus gnats, they are not complex enough to have friends and relational bonds and all this stuff. So I was like, hang on a minute. Am I seeing a new behavior? I recorded it at the time. And I was like, did I just see something new? Have I just got video recorded proof that a fungus gnat cares about another fungus gnat? And so I asked AI, I was like, is there any recorded evidence of familial bonds or friendships in fungus gnats? And if I had footage of that, where would I take it? Because it might be contributing to like scientific evidence. It might be new. I was really excited. I found something new. I was fucking wrong. I described all of this and AI said, actually, that sounds like it may have been a male and a female because the males do not need the female to be alive or well in order to try and mate with them. The behavior that you just described, the walking around it, trying to lift it and position it upright from behind, sounds like the male fungus fly trying to position the female to mate with her while she was dying. Well, that's not very good, and it's not very wholesome. No. There is also a habit of some male butterflies of stabbing their penis through the chrysalises of the unhatched females to get to mate with them before they've even hatched, to beat the other males to the punch. And I could go on with examples of this. Very few of these examples are female. And that's not me shitting on men as a whole, but that is me saying, I really hope that Peaks is right and that the things that cause this thrill and this power dynamic to divert to negative behavior sexually are just a societal thing. And it is not innate and it is incredibly solvable. And that as we get better as a species and we get smarter as a species, this will become less and less of a problem. I want you to be right. And I hope you're right. And I look for proof that you're right every day. I ask questions in the hope that you are absolutely right. And this is a social thing. And then I look at nature and I worry. Dear Lord, this knowledge is cursed. I, every day, have a mental crisis about 1,000 things. And the reason why I have a mental crisis about this one, and why I sit and I think about it and I read about it and I research about it, even though it's probably not very good for my mental health, is because ultimately I care and I love humans and I want us to have better lives progressively. I want every human who lives in the world after I'm gone, the world that I and the rest of us are creating right now, the future we're all building together, I want that to be awesome for the next humans. Because I got to enjoy all these games, all this art, all this music, all this joy, all this laughter, and I'm so fucking grateful. And I would love to understand how all this works so I can leave it a better place than I fucking found it. And one of the things that I worry about is that other girls will have the childhood I did. So I want to understand why I went through everything that I did and why I live in the environment that I do, because I want it to be better. I think it could be improved. I see the potential. Let's put it that way. Let's put it the nice way. I see the potential. It definitely could be even better than this. And I think these questions don't make me hate anyone, don't make me mad at anyone, but they make me hopeful because the closer I get to understanding how this happens, the better the world gets tomorrow. Especially when I have a platform like this, because I can ask these questions of you guys and we can put our heads together and we can understand it better. And the more we understand something, the more impact we can have on it, the more control we have over it. Knowledge is agency. That's where it begins. People think, do we have free will? Not when you're a stupid fuck. Not when you know nothing. But the more you understand, the more options you have, the more decisions you get to make. And so I feel like these questions are hard. I don't know if they're entertaining. I'm asking them. I'm not even looking at the view account right now. I'm scared. Because I don't want to know whether or not people have left over this. But I asked them because I'm hopeful. And I asked them out of love. these terrible questions. And a lot of people misperceive it. They perceive it as me saying, well, I hate men and men are bad. And I'm like, I know, I have plenty of men in my life that I really like and I look forward to seeing. And I'm really grateful that I know. I think that you can understand that something has potential to be better and that that can be an act of love and that asking these questions can be a hopeful thing. I think I deserve to be angry. I think I'm allowed to feel sad about it. And I think when I see other people feel angry and sad about this topic, I feel like, yeah, you're allowed to have those feelings. You're entitled to have those feelings. But right now, I don't feel either. I just want it to be better. I want to understand it. And I think at first I wanted to understand it because of everything I'd been through. And I wanted to understand it because I couldn't understand how anyone would do these things to me. I couldn't understand how anyone could mistreat me this way. I couldn't understand how anyone would force each other to live like this. And so I thought it would heal me to know why. But a therapist once said, if a snake bites you in the woods, do you chase after it and go, wait, come back, explain to me why you bit me? Or do you just go to the hospital and heal the fucking bite wound and get the antivenom and move on? And so that really affected me. And I was like, do I really need to understand why people were shitty? Will that really heal me? Or should I just go look after myself? Right? And so the question stopped being asked for me and my healing and for me to just know why some idiot did some stupid thing. And it just became, how do we make this better? It became constructive curiosity along the way. It's important to know that trying to find a reason why someone did something can lead you to believe that it is something that people do rather than something that that person did. That's very true, and I completely agree with that. And I think that's a hard nuance. But I also think that trying to find a reason why someone did something can make you feel like you can blame yourself or that it's avoidable next time. And people are chaotic, and you can't really control what people do. So sometimes you can load yourself with a bunch of guilt by trying to understand something because you're just trying to find a reason why it's your fault. You're trying to find a thing that you could have done differently to control the situation and get safe. And you think that that's going to give you the power to influence your future, and it's not, because people are unpredictable. All it's going to do is give you a reason to blame yourself. Unfortunately, girls have that thing where they think they can change a dude. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what this news is going to be to you, but men can also think that they can change a girl. A lot of guys are into goth girls who self-harm specifically because they're like, "Ooh, she's moody and she's sad and depressed, but I can fix her." Like, that's one of the flavors of fetishizing goth girls. So, like, I think, like, the whole surge in goth girl fetish thing is definitely in part because men think, I can fix her. Because you'll notice that, like, a lot of guys who are into goth girls are not goths themselves. They've never touched eyeliner. They don't listen to the music. They don't care about politics. They just like seeing black lingerie on women and black hair. Like, it's rarely ever an appreciation for the art and for the cultural identity, and more often than not, for other reasons. I can give banana bread. That's all I can do right now. I mean, that's a pretty good start. To be fair, I feel like a lot of women could be seduced with banana bread. Like, there was like an 1800s thing that was like a woman can be infatuated with a single piece of cheese. Thanks for the 500 bits. But yeah, I was reading that Donna message Do you think you would have fun in an improve, but Terrence is the one who gives you the situation to go off in actions, words, and phrases? Have a thought just now when one of my friends talked about a game they made with their own disorder or conditions, which turned out to be fun. So I thought I'd ask. I don't actually know what you're asking. My reading comprehension is failing me here. What are you asking? Do you think you would have fun in an improv? But Terrence is the one who gives you the situation to go off in the actions. Oh, I think that would be really, really hard to reliably do because you can't just decide to have a tick. So if I needed to come up with an improv to go off of based on a tick, I might be waiting hours for a tick that I could improv off of. Like sometimes I just say I love you over and over again. Sometimes I just go like, these are not things you can build a reliable improv off. So, unfortunately, as fun as the game sounds, I don't think you can reliably play that with Tourette's because you don't decide when you have a tick. Yeah. Nerdy guys, they said nerdy guys for women is the same as goth girls for men. Really, they like the aesthetic of hot people as opposed to the actual goth or nerd culture. You might be right, to be honest with you. To an extent. I think that the idea behind nerdy guys, though, is that they are safe. I think a lot of women convince themselves that the nerdy guy who stays at home and has niche little hobbies is not going to cheat on you because he's a loser. So they like the idea of having a safe little loser at home, like a pet boyfriend who could never do anything to hurt you because he's too much of a loser even if he tried, right? And the fact that, and I think that that is cruel. And the way I came to that conclusion is because there became a trend on TikTok where people were like, aren't you afraid he's going to cheat on you? And then it would pan across like a collection of Warhammer models or something, as if to say, who my man who sits at home playing with his toys, right? And I thought, wow, that is contempt. That is the idea that this man is undesirable and you picked him because he makes you feel secure because you won't have to worry about him because he is too undesirable and geeky and sad and loserish to ever fuck with you if he tried. And I don't think that's the same as love. I don't think that's the same as enjoying that your partner has hobbies. I think that's actually just contempt. I don't think that women are turned on by glasses and like a little bit of a lisp and an inhaler and like, a low fashion sense and, high input on like one particular hobby. Like I don't think that women are just like jerking off to train spotters or whatever. I think that women just are so fucking afraid of being screwed over by men that they go for safe options and they fetishize those safe options. Like they gravitate towards the guy who makes them feel safe, even if ultimately that feeling of safety is coming from contempt. I don't know. Do you agree with me? Because I don't know that it's necessarily like a healthy infatuation with nerdy guys. Very well put. I was scared. I was like, uh-oh, am I gonna get told off for this opinion? I'd agree. Yes, I do. Illusion of a safety net. The thing I really, really like want to say to these women is that nerdy guys will cheat on you too. Nerdy guys will still fuck you over. Nerdy guys can still be a disappointment. That picking someone that you just think is too, I don't know, undesirable and lame to ever cheat on you is not going to protect you. And you're just sacrificing your actual attraction and your actual sexual feelings for safety you cannot buy by dating someone you deem as a loser. But that it's also just morally bankrupt to get with someone just because you have contempt for them and it makes you feel safe. But I feel like as well, it also flies in the face of like the whole incel idea that women date the top percent of men. Because how could women have a nerd fetish and date the top percent of men? Because incels consider nerdy stay-at-home guys to be the ones who are always overlooked. that they're not. Like, there are women who fetishize nerdy guys. Absolutely. And that doesn't mean that nerdy guys can't be hot because they're nerdy or anything like that. I just do think that in the same way that some guys fetishize goths, not because they're into goths, but because they think I can fix her and toxic things like that. I think there can be a toxic reason for women to be into nerdy guys. I think a lot of bisexual women like me end up with nerdy guys as well. And it's like they could date anyone. And like there are a lot of 10 out of 10 really beautiful, hot, like could have anyone in the world bisexual women who end up with, the average looking nerdy guy. And that's a really common trope. Like if you go to any bisexual women's spaces, you'll see it everywhere. There's like the women with all the options in the world settle down with just a nerdy guy, glasses, Warhammer collection, or plays World of Warcraft, geeky, whatever. And that's like a really, 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 really common thing. But I don't know why. I can't reliably say, yeah, all the bisexual girls are doing it too. Or maybe there's an additional factor there because it's so common among like bi girls to do it. And I feel like a lot of bi girls are mad at themselves for not being lesbians. Like, that's the most common tone. I don't know if you've ever seen this anywhere on the internet, but I see it everywhere. Maybe it's just my algorithm. But a lot of bisexual women are like mad at themselves and they're like, why did I pick men when I could have women? Women who smell wonderful and look wonderful and are interesting people who would want to wear a face mask with me and watch movies with me and go fun places and, wouldn't be upset with me if I wanted to go to the club. They just come to the club with me and we could be girls together. And why? Why do I always go with men when I could have women? And like a lot of guys will sit there and listen to that. And rather than be insulted and be like, what's wrong with men? They're like, yeah, why wouldn't you pick women? Women are awesome. Women are so attractive. Why would you go for us? Like, I don't need... No, I totally agree. Facts, right? So like, so like, there's a lot at play there. There's a lot of trends when it comes to nerdy boys being like the strange winners, like the unexpected underdog of dating. They think that they are not going to be chosen because they're so nerdy, but often they're chosen more often as a demographic than most other guys, I would say. Nerdy is a spectrum on itself. Oh, absolutely. But I think like the peak of hot, sexy, nerdy guy was the 2000s. I feel like because and somewhere around that time, I think I could think of two really good examples of like the hot, nerdy guy, and one of them is the guy from Stargate. What's his name? Is it like Daniel Jackson? Is that him? And the other one is the nerdy guy from that cartoon about the library. There was a cartoon about a library with a nerdy guy with glasses. And like, I've forgotten his name. Daniel Jackson is like peak hot nerdy guy. Buffy. Oh yeah. Buffy had some of that going on. Even, what do you mean like that Giles guy? Because I feel like a lot of people had the hots for Giles. But I would call him bookish. Atlantis? It might be. Is it Atlantis? The one with the hot guy with the glasses? Is it just a model with glasses? No, because it comes with a whole subset of behaviors. It wasn't just the glasses and like the little swishy haircut. I don't know what that haircut is called. What haircut does he have? Where it's like long here, short here, but it's kind of wispy. He's like curtain bangs. But it's also like they read lots of books. They push their glasses in. They're meek. They're gentle. They're knowledgeable, understanding, and intelligent. You know this guy isn't gonna punch a wall if you piss him off. No, they do not have a fuck-ass bob. Shut the fuck up. It's not a fuck-ass bob. Like, a fuck-ass bob comes down to here. You need to learn her hairstyles. Like, they have, like, swishy bangs here and, like, slightly long. Like, the hair comes from here to here. And then it's short back here. Like, short there. And it's, like, sweeping bangs that are, like, this long. That was the haircut. With glasses and brown hair. Mousy brown hair. And they were slim. They weren't particularly muscular. And like they would always have an open book in their hand and they would just know lots of stuff. Like, they were nerdy. The knowledge had to come with it. You couldn't be a bimbo with glasses and get away with having the nerdy charm. You actually had to be smart. You had mannerisms. You were a gentleman. Maybe with a slight stutter. That was like the idolized, bookish, nerdy guy, the hot 2000s, sexy ass, geeky guy that every woman wanted. Milo Thatch. Milo from Atlantis. Okay, so I'm gonna type that in. Milo Thatch. Yes! Yes! Milo Thatch! That is exactly him! Holy fuck! That is exactly that is the idealized nerdy. That was the sexy nerd that women were like jerking off over. That is a lot of girls' first crush. That guy. Is being nerdy low testosterone? No. Like, I know that there are guys out there who like do this whole pseudo biology thing where they think they understand how bodies work, but they fucking don't. Testosterone levels have absolutely no correlation with nerdiness whatsoever. And the funniest thing is, like, some people are surprisingly high testosterone, but by looking at them, you would never fucking know. Like, testosterone levels are far more complicated and mysterious than fucking Reddit makes them out to be. But I appreciate you think like that. I don't think that it's magical. I think it's just researching anything before you speak on it. But yeah, you can be a nerd, you can be knowledgeable, you can have glasses, and you can have that, like, I don't know, it's the fuck-ass fucking swish hair. We're not gonna call it a bob, the fuck-ass swish, right? You can have that hairstyle and be anywhere on the fucking testosterone scale, estrogen scale. But also, a lot more women are bisexual than men, or openly bisexual than men, by the looks of things, right? So men with feminine traits are not going to be losing out in terms of dating because feminine traits are attractive to a significant amount of women. Very highly significant amount of women. So being high or low testosterone is not going to really count for much when looking for a date compared to other qualities. It's a low value quality because you still have quite a large dating pool, whether you're a femme or a mask as a man, or anywhere on that spectrum. You could be neither, and you're still going to be pretty attractive to a huge swathe of women. I honestly just wish most people, myself included, just had some confidence in general. I think confidence is hard, though. It's a daily battle. It's not something you win permanently. It's something you have to grapple with because, you know, knocks to confidence happen every single day. Life is humbling. Life is just humbling. Being a human is just fucking humbling, dude. So, like, yeah, you're okay. You're allowed to battle with your self-confidence, and you can still have a partner. There are plenty of meek people who are not very confrontational or argumentative who have partners. And if that's you and you're a dude and you're like, I want a partner, but I'm not very confident, get a confident woman. A confident women quite often enjoy meek men. Like, usually in relationships, there is a dynamic that happens often. It's not the only direct relationship dynamic. There are other ways. But you could either be a will or a way. Like, sometimes you find relationships where there's a will and a way, and they get really, they really gel together. And, like, one of them is like, I have all the ideas. I have all the ambition. I have all the people skills, the talking skills. When you talk to us, I have the word count. And then you have the other person who's quiet, who doesn't really have a lot of ideas, who doesn't really aspire to change much and doesn't really imagine very many new things and doesn't really change anything, they usually stand back quietly. When you speak to them as a couple, they stand back and they're a bit more quiet, but they get everything done. They are the way that things get done. They are the will to change things is the big confident one. And then the way that it gets done is the quiet one. Like, the confident one will want a kitchen extension. The quiet one will build it. The quiet one will know how, will organize the person to come and build it, right? They will make sure everything stays running, tidy, clean, whatever it is. They have the skills to maintain everything. And they generally are less forward and front-facing. And that's a nice dynamic. I've seen it a lot, especially in older couples where people have been together for decades. Quite a common one is you will have the one that you talk to and the one that is just there. And the one that is just there is the person who keeps the garden looking the way it is. But the one you're talking to is the one who asked for the garden to look the way it was in the first place, right? They wanted the rose garden. This guy is the one keeping the rose garden alive, right? And we say it like behind every great man is a woman. It's totally the other way around as well. Behind every great woman, there's a man. Usually, if you meet someone who's highly successful, who has kids, a great career, and has everything going for them, has loads of money, is going on holidays, going traveling, has everything, usually it's because they have a partner behind them who is making all that happen. In Avatar: The Last Airbender, it was Julie. Right? Oh, that was The Legend of Korra. Okay, my memory's shit, but in The Legend of Korra, it was Julie, right? Oh yeah, exactly. So if you're not a very confident person, neither was Julie. But Julie was a fucking prize. She was such a catch. Everyone thinks that the guy that she was dating, I've forgotten his name, but like, there was a loud guy that, you know, was very front-facing, the front of the business, the front of the enterprise. You know, he was like the mover and shaker that everyone thought was a big success, the famous guy. And behind him was Julie, making it all happen, right? And they were a really happy couple. Exactly. So maybe if you're not like a particularly confident person, but you want a partner, maybe you just need a front man. Or woman, front woman. Whatever you're into. Maybe that's your relationship dynamic. There's also Morticia and Gomez Adams. That's a good example as well. I don't know. I mean, I think people usually use those two as an example of an ideal relationship because they're so fucking in love with each other. Like, so in love with each other, sickeningly in love with each other. And everyone's like, God, I want to be that in love, right? But it's true, like, but Morticia is quiet and she's like usually trimming roses and arranging flowers around the house when she talks to her kids, but she's in charge. She makes all of the decisions. She is like, she runs everything. And people talk to Gomez as if he's the man of the house, but he controls nothing. Everything is her decision. Everything is the way it is because of her. Right? She's in the throne. Yeah. But I don't think that's like secret. I don't think that's very subtle. I think that everyone kind of knows that. So yeah, if you're not very like confident and outgoing, I don't think that will stop you getting a partner. I think that it just means that the likelihood is that you will probably end up with a will because you are probably the way. Yeah, like Eshe and the mayor from Palia. I don't know. I don't really see them as a happy couple. I think that Eshe is not attracted to him at all. They have not kissed or held hands for many, 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 many years. I think since their wedding night or something. Like, so they conceived their daughter and they haven't touched each other since. And he's just kind of scared of Eshe. And he just bimbles around living his own life around her. And I think their union was just like, because it made sense, like a marriage for power and money kind of situation. Like an arranged marriage almost, right? But that she fell in love with someone that she was really interested in, but she put that aside for her family and her aspirations. And she married the guy that she should marry rather than the one she actually wanted to. And I think that's hinted in her dialogue a lot. I would love for the story to progress and for them to get a divorce. And for her to get with the person that she's actually in love with. And for like I would like it so that like the husband is the one who's like, I want a divorce, this isn't working for me. I would love to see him get a backbone and be like, this isn't working for me, I want love. And for him to like move on. And for Eshe to take a shot to her pride and be like, fuck, how humiliating, and be angry for a bit, and then go, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna write a letter to that guy I always loved. I still think about him. Like, that would be awesome. Because, like, I can't remember his name, but Eshe's husband is the manifestation of yes, dear. And that's so sad. No man deserves to be a yes, dear. Die Hold Made. Thank you
Hey,
so much.
lover stream less than 3. Have you ever done a stream? Think would be fun. 0 to 0.
Have I ever done a stream? It says meerchat.com. I don't know what that is. So the answer is no, I've never done one of those streams. I don't know what that is. But thanks for the suggestion. Her husband's name is Ken Lee. Isn't it bad? I feel so bad that I know him as just Eshe's husband. That's so bad. Like, he's his whole person. There's a whole storyline with him and everything. Thanks, Latino Surge. I feel that I'm honestly the guy with little to no confidence, but always keep having thoughts and feelings about holding back or not satisfying a partner in some kind of aspect, even something simple like regular social life and outings. It's been like that for more than a decade now, and I'm 25. I like working, but I think I got just into working on something due to the lack of ability to socialize. Thanks for that, though. Makes me feel better to hear that. If I felt it when if only I felt it when I understand it. Okay, so you don't have to feel it to acknowledge it. I think, like, just know that there are plenty of people who like someone regardless of whether they've built their confidence yet. I think there's plenty of time for you to get confidence and to build that. I think it comes with time and experience, but like, even if you never get confidence, it doesn't mean that you'll never get laid. It doesn't mean that you'll never find a partner. You do not have to have confidence to have a partner. You don't have to like yourself before someone will like you. You don't have to love yourself before someone will love you. Plenty of narcissists fucking hate themselves and are drastically insecure. People think a narcissist is when they love themselves too much, but it's not. It's huge, deep, aching insecurity, right? And everyone tends to love narcissists. Narcissists tend to be well liked. They're charismatic. They make a lot of friends, but they don't like themselves. And I think like they're a really good example of the whole idea that you do not have to be confident or like yourself for people to like you. There are so many people who are proof of this. We live what we deserve. Your unlimited empathy is cumbersome. We live what we deserve. I don't think unlimited empathy is cumbersome. I think empathy is a form of intelligence. People write it off as a form of emotion, but it's not. It's a form of intelligence. And it's a really, really structurally important one. It's part of the reason why humans are so advanced. Because we're not advanced because we're smart. Most of us don't know how to build a computer. We only know how to use one because someone else showed us. Our collaborative ability is what makes us so advanced, not our intelligence. Barely any of us are intelligent. We have like some small, tiny, sporadic, anomalous amount of intelligent people who push us forward by inches every few hundred years, and the rest of us just copy them. So most of us are dumb, right? And what makes us so advanced and what makes our behavior so complex is our ability to empathize and connect with each other. So I don't think that it's cumbersome. I think that once you know how to wield it, it's incredibly beneficial. Copying something working isn't a sign of intelligence. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Most of us are dumb and we just copy. Like, our species as a whole is not hugely intelligent. Together, ape strong. Exactly. It's our collaborative ability. It's our ability to empathize and work with each other for each other's benefit that makes us so advanced. It's not our intelligence, because barely any of us are actually smart. Willpower is sexy. Damn. I'm fucking cooked then because I have no willpower and I absolutely have designed my entire life around not having to have any willpower whatsoever. I've made all of my basic urges beneficial to me. So I don't have to resist anything. So if you've got willpower, you've just mogged me.
Holy
Hey, Sovereign,
Echo
thank you.
Batman.
Wait, is it echoing in here? Is that where you're at? What's the echo? But thanks for the money. Originality is often just forgetting where you got your ideas from. I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, because the donor's doubling? Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Well, you found a way around it, though. Yeah, I have. I think that all of life as an animal is basically indulging all your baser urges because you evolved to have those urges because they keep you alive. So what I've done is I've made all of my urges a part of my survival again. I'm living like an animal because nature quite often works to give you the simplest amount of input for the most reward. Like that's what evolves. And so I just evolved my lifestyle to be the smallest amount of input for them, like min-maxing. Nature is min-maxing. Can you give us famous examples of unconfident, likable people? I don't remember anyone's names, so it'd be really, really hard for me to do that. But if you ever listen to an interview with most actors are kind of like bimbling, mumbly, gentle, unconfident, not very funny. And writers make actors seem really funny, confident, and likable because they play those characters. So, like, I feel like if you pick any big bombastic characters that are bubbly and confident and funny in shows and then listen to them talk outside of the show off the script, you'll be like, oh. What's your opinion on any and every kind of maxing? I don't know how to do that. That's huge. I'd say sometimes it's awesome and sometimes it's incredibly toxic. That maxing something doesn't necessarily get in the max benefit. Matt Barry is a good example of this. He's a huge introvert. Yeah. So, like, I feel like actors are a classic example of this because most actors are not the people that you think of them as. Bitch! Cillian Murphy is too. I don't know who that is. But good for her. Tommy in Pinky Blinders. I don't know who that is either. Okay, well, you guys got the naming covered. Hopefully that helps. I feel like I need to learn all of the like top people who became like millionaires or huge successes in their 50s after turning their life around because so many people are like, I'm 25 and it's too late for me. I didn't go to college and I have regrets, or I don't know what I want to do to my life and I'm like 20. Is it too late for me? Am I cooked? I'm like, you're 20 and you think you're cooked. There is always time. I like to think so, yes and no. My mom taught me both the good example of that and the bad example of that because she was like somebody who got her first degree in her 20s, I think, and her second degree in her 40s, I think. And then she was aspiring to have a new job in her 50s when she passed away. But she never quite got round to it. Everything got in the way, and she never really got to do the last thing she wanted to do. But she reinvented her life like 3 or 4 times in my childhood, but probably like 6 or 7 times overall. She did so many different things, and every time she started from ground up anew at a later and later time in her life, and she had a blast doing it. But she also ran out of time. So like I think I've got both lessons baked in. of like never put things off. Always know that as long as you breathe, there's still time to do something new. Now try losing everything at 40 and then start all over again. Go. I actually saw someone do that. My ex's dad did that. My ex's dad fell into a depression because he started a family, got a mortgage, bought a house, did everything right, worked really hard, and she cheated on him and had kids with someone else. And it destroyed him. He got deeply depressed. He spiraled. He lived alone with his he moved in with his parents again in his 30s and 40s. He thought nobody was ever going to love him and he'd never find anyone ever again. And he did loads of jobs, but never really settled in any of them. And he lost everything financially. He lost the house. So his ex got the house and the kids, and he barely ever got to see his kids. And he had to start from nowhere. And he had a one single bed apartment he had to share with his two boys whenever they came over. And like his life was just rough rebuilding. And then he went and he got an education and he got a degree in his 50s, started doing his ideal job in his 50s, met the love of his life in his 50s, got married in his 50s, moved into a lovely 3-bedroom house that he fucking loves with a beautiful garden that he maintains with his beautiful wife that he loves immensely. And they have this whole life together and they're happy. Yeah, in his 50s, over and over, in his 50s, in his 50s. So you're like, reinvent your life when everything is over in your 40s, go. And I'm like, bitch, I've seen someone do it in their 50s. I often feel like I'm doomed to have my relationships fail. How do I push on when it feels doomed? A lollipop doesn't last forever. We don't eat a lolly because we expect it to just stay in our mouths for the rest of our lives. And it's kind of the same with a partner. Like, you don't get in a relationship purely because it's only important if it lasts forever, because most relationships don't. Statistically, most people have at least 3 or 4 relationships in their lifetime. That means at least 3 or 4 failed relationships in your lifetime. Most people do not stay with someone for the rest of their lives, but they feel loved and they grow with someone and learn from someone. Like, I would never go back and stop myself from getting with the people that I did, even though I look back and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Oh my God. Right now, I would never date someone like that. I look back and I'm like, oh, embarrassed. I'm like, damn it, you idiot. But I would never fix it. I would never fix it with a time machine. And the reason why, I grew beside those people and it taught me so much. I learned people skills. I had a mirror held to myself. We have blind spots. You do not see yourself until you live with someone because they see all the stuff you don't notice. And you have to confront so much of who you are because you don't meet all of yourself until it's reflected back at you in a partner. There are stages of growth that happen. You grow with people. You don't just love people. You don't just fuck people. You grow with them. You change. They change. You may not stay the same people. You may not love the person that they become or you become. But it's important. It's like, what's the word for like, it's part of the plot. You have to do it for the plot. And like, the person you grow to love and accept, the person you become, the best version of you will have gone through a few breakups. But also being loved is just a privilege. It's temporary, but it's a privilege. Most of the time, you will not fit in someone's life forever. And that's okay. It doesn't make it any less amazing that someone fucking loved you. That someone woke up every day and thought of you first and wanted to be with you. Whenever they saw something amazing, they immediately wanted to share it with you. That's incredible. That's a privilege. It shouldn't last forever to be an exceptional thing to experience. It doesn't always have to go right. I mean, some of the weird things that I benefited from exes, food. I eat differently because of my exes. So, like, we traded recipes. Like, out there are people who are probably gonna live an extra 5 to 10 years because of me, because we dated and I told them what a good fucking salad is. Like And I know they're still eating it to this day. Like, you may not love someone forever, but a piece of them will live in you forever. So, yeah, it probably is doomed to fail. That's absolutely true, but it's no reason not to love anyway. I mean, my career was doomed to fail. Like, I thought I was going to be banned within 2 weeks of being here because of my Tourette's. Like, and I haven't been banned. It's been 8 years. It's been a really surprising success. But even if I'd have only got 2 weeks on Twitch, it would have been worth it. I joined knowing that it would have to end at some point. I can't get over salad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that my salads are so good, none of my exes have ever gotten over my salad. But if that doesn't convince you, like, you're gonna die, but it's still worth living. So you're probably gonna break up with people, but it's still worth loving. Most of your friends aren't gonna love you for the rest of your life, but it's still worth having friends. Just need to stop defining things by how they end. Oh wow, your ban was 8 years ago, and it's only happened. Wow, so proud of you. I've never been banned. I've never been banned. Piss off. I've never been banned. I don't know why I've never been banned, but I've never been banned. No street cred. I know, but like I'm amazed, genuinely amazed. My ultimate goal is to make sure my ex never forgets my salad. Why do I feel like this is a euphemism that's smooshing me? I'm like, there's no way Pigs has said something so wholesome. What happens when you toss salad and eat? Oh. Oh. I should have known by the fucking meme you put with that. Mixing the dressing and bro is thinking of me. Most streamers I watch have caught at least a 1 week ban because the rules are so confusing. Oh, you're. I don't know who you're watching, but they're fucking dumb. I don't mean to cast shade, but like it's so easy to follow the rules. Nobody's breaking them because they're confusing. People are breaking them because being interesting. People who behave themselves are seldom interesting. And people are impulsive and they don't think things through, but also they do know that they're probably going to get in trouble temporarily, but it's worth the viewership. I think that's the main reason people get banned. I think people, like, usually are not like, well, how does this work? It's so confusing. The rules are very, very basic, really easy to understand. Really, really easy. The only exception I can think of is wardrobe malfunctions. Like sometimes, like if a bit of clothing slips and you're like, oh fuck. Like surely that's unintentional, but like by and large, if it says don't say slurs and you like say a slur, you brought that on yourself. You weren't confused. You knew what you were doing. That's just purposely bending a rule. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of that on the platform. But hear me out. I think that like you're not gonna find a lot of good-natured, tame, friendly people who are wholesome who get a lot of viewership. Because it's boring. Good people are boring. Unfortunately, they just do not get much attention. Grimkel, thank you. It's just because like if someone gives to charity all the time, and they say nice things to everyone, and they just do nice things all day, people won't watch them. People would rather watch paint dry for some reason. They just want to watch a dysfunctional, shitty person be clumsy about life. I feel like that is mostly what people on Twitch want to see. I watch a lot of political streamers, they get a bunch of false reports. Yeah, but that's not getting banned because you were confused about the rules. I'm just gonna lay it out there. I don't think very many people get confused about the rules. Because, like, it's very hard to be confused about the rules. The rules are really, really easy. I feel like that's the easiest part of streaming, is just understanding what you probably shouldn't show on stream. Also, like, the streamers who do find that confusing should probably just be on Kick. Kick, you can get away with anything on Kick. Anything. I briefly glanced over there years ago, and I went on one person's stream, and everyone was just spamming swastikas. And then I clicked on another stream, and someone was actively receiving fellatio. So I kind of feel like if the rules are hard here, why would you stream here? Where there are places when you can get away with anything, it just makes no sense. Sounds like a fun time. Well, for me personally, I kind of feel like I don't want that environment. I kind of feel like that is not a good place to be for me. I feel like my mods would die of a heart attack. We shine the sun! Thank you so much for the prime. You know that song where you have to, like, the piano song that people play that's like 1,000,000 miles an hour that people do to be impressive? I've forgotten the name of it. But I feel like I would have to only employ the person who plays that song on the piano, because they would be the only person who could keep up with the bands I would get. Rush E. Yeah, only people who could play Rush E would be able to fucking mod for me. I really do not care anymore. Like, as in, what, your Peaks is just like, go over there, I dare you. I would do it. Honestly, I think you just want to kick Nazis. I think you would just enjoy banhamming them. When's the longest you've gone without a tick? I don't know. There was a time where it really died down, and people were like, "Do you even have Tourette's anymore?" But that was many years ago. It was long before I started streaming, and I was still having tics. They just weren't. There weren't as many verbal tics, and people were just not noticing them so much. Like, you would get a tic like this, where your elbow would go or whatever, and people don't really notice that so much. But like, you can go hours or days without a tick and still have Tourette's. The diagnostic criteria is literally if you've had more than one type of tic over the course of an entire year, you do not have to have the tick for the entire year. You just have to have 2 different types of tick within the same year, which technically means you could have one tick in January and another tick in December and be diagnosed with Tourette syndrome. Do you ever get a sunrise face look when first meeting someone? I don't know what that means. I'm imagining like when the sun rises and you're like, whoa, and you see the sun for the first time, and it's like you're like blown away by the goldenness. Surprise face look. Oh. Then, as in surprise Pikachu? Where you're just like, what do you mean? Oh wow, that's such a sensitive metric. Yeah. I mean, it comes with a lot of other testing, obviously, but like that's one of the diagnostic criteria in terms of tick frequency. It's not the only one. How do you make it as a streamer? It's mostly luck. It's not entirely in your control. You do not choose to be a streamer. People choose you. I think that's a really important thing to remember. People choose you. How do you view your tics now that you're older, wiser, and famous? No differently. It's just a medical condition. It's like saying, how do you feel about your eczema now that you're older, wiser, and famous? I think with my Tourette's, I'm just like kind of at peace with the backgroundiness of it now. Whereas back when I was battling with it and trying to live a normal life, it was just impossible all of the time, and I was constantly getting judgment, which was life altering. Whereas when I'm on the internet, people can bitch and moan about it and misinterpret it and misunderstand it, and it won't have any impact on me whatsoever. So I finally gotten to a point in my existence where I don't have to suffer the consequences of other people's judgments. In fact, if you judge me and try to cancel me over it, I'll just get another burst in viewership. So if anything, I benefit from it now, whereas I didn't benefit from people misunderstanding me before. You're famous? Question mark. Well, I don't really use the term so much, but people think of me that way now because I get recognized everywhere. Like, and people ask me to sign stuff, and this has been going on for quite a few years now. And I guess that is what some people consider famous. Like, I don't think I'm like huge like a movie star or anything, but a lot of people know who the fuck I am globally, which is something I try not to think about on a daily basis because it can be a little bit concerning. And I mean, it can be really fun to be like, yeah, someone's watching something. Every second of every day, someone is looking at me. Someone is watching a video of mine. Someone is hearing my voice somewhere in the world. Also, someone is also jerking off. So it's like swings and roundabouts. It's like 50-50. Oh god. Yeah, there's a lot of little things like that. Like, I wasn't afraid of ghosts until I became famous. Because I was like, oh, fuck. If there's an afterlife, there's a bunch of perverts who watched my stream, died, and have now come to watch me shit. I'm never taking a wank alone again. Well, as soon as those stalkers go non-corporeal, it's over for me. They're never gonna leave me alone. "50% are joking?" I hope not. I hope it's like, well, personally, I hope it's 0%. I was gonna say something stupidly realistic, but I'm gonna go with no. Hopefully it's 0%. Hopefully I'm just wrong. And there ain't no hot dog buns being defiled right now as we speak. Hilarious dog joke. Which part of that was meant to be a joke? I wasn't kidding about any of it. Yeah, nobody, like, everyone's like, oh my god, the hot dog bun law. The funniest thing about the hot dog bun is some happy, rosy-cheeked little baker somewhere made that hot dog bun thinking they were feeding families. Little did they know they were crafting the device that traumatized me for life. The hot dog bun, I'm afraid to ask. Oh, this beard game. Fine, I'll tell you. A lot of people who are here right now already know, right? But I used to do workout streams, and the community really looked forward to it. They were like, "Yay!" And we would do the workout together. Like, we would watch a YouTube video, which was a workout, and I would follow it on stream, and we would all follow it. And everyone, "We're doing a workout today! Yay!" But some people were watching for nefarious reasons, or making clips for other reasons, non-health related reasons. And there was a guy who jerked off into a hot dog bun and videoed himself doing it, and he was watching my stream while he did that. He was watching a workout stream, and that's it. I quit the workout stream. So it's like, no more. I feel weird now. Every time I do this, I'm just gonna think of him. I can't. It's ruined it. It's ruined it for me. It's ruined it for all of us. Nope. Right? So I stopped doing them on stream. And yeah, that is the hot dog bun story. Like, being on the internet is wild, man. And like, everyone gets it. All of us have a story like that. All of us. You can have 5 viewers and have a story like this, where someone did something fucking weird. I got a few stories. Don't get me started on the guy who faked a diabetic attack to try and tempt me into a fucking car park. But yeah, like, if you do streaming for a while, you're gonna bump into some wild people. People with no boundaries. And it makes you afraid of ghosts. You're like, I hope there isn't an afterlife. Because those ghosts ain't leaving me alone. There are some people who've watched my streams from start to finish every single time I stream, and they're awesome, and I like them, and I look forward to seeing them. Those people are usually cool, right? Very occasionally, there is one or two of them out of like the thousands, right? Who would absolutely, if they died, just come and sit and watch me live my entire life. It's rare. Oh god, what the fuck? I think that, like, on average, there's between, like, 28,000 and sometimes more. Like, some of my streams have, like, 48 or more thousand people come. You know, it fluctuates. But it's incredibly rare that there'll be someone weird. Like, weird, weird, weird. But it only has to be 1 in 1,000 to be multiple people every stream. Hey, there is no reason to be casting shade. We don't need to be naming names. Although, to be fair, that guy would probably laugh at you saying that. Good, I'm here because I like you guys too. And someone who's like, well, I'm just here because I like you. And it's like, well, yeah, I like you guys too. This is usually a normal interaction. So the afterlife is just spectator mode? This is what I'm scared of. I hope not. Like, that genuinely frightens me. Because it means, like, the truly famous people, like the genuinely big celebrities, surrounded by about a seething mass of ghosts at every point in their life. And politicians, can you imagine? I found out recently, you know that game? I think it's like, fuck, what's the game? It's like, I think it's Stardew Valley or something. There's a game where you can have your villagers breed, but you can sacrifice their children. And there's a place where if you go there, all of the sacrificed children are ghosts that will come and attack you. Are we sure that's Stardew? It's some unexpectedly wholesome game. I can't remember which one. Yeah, definitely Stardew Valley. That's not Stardew. It's one of them. It's one of those wholesome games. Okay, whichever one it is. And basically, I wonder if, like, if you're a politician, if everybody who fucking hated you just wants you and waits for you to die so they can just, like, when you become a ghost. Because that's terrifying. If we could prove the afterlife and it was like that and ghosts could just hang out in spectator mode and wait for you to die and stuff, like, no one would ever become a politician again. Horrifying thought. Yeah, but it also makes me question everything. Like, if I was a ghost, why would I just stand by my grave and wait for people to visit? Because that means that you have to spend thousands and thousands of hours just staring at your grave, waiting for a 5-minute interaction sporadically a few times a year. I wouldn't do that. I don't have the attention span for it. Choosing that option would be a grave mistake. Yeah, and, like, watching your body be prepared for burial would be traumatizing, trust me, you don't wanna know what they do to all of your orifices. Um, and so, like, I just kind of feel like I really hope there isn't ghosts. A lot of people find it comforting, they're like, "What if my loved ones are watching me right now?" And I'm like, "I hope my watch I don't know about you, but I just really hope they're not watching most of the time." I don't know what kind of lives you're living, but whatever I'm up to, I don't really want my parents watching. Surely attention span resets in afterlife. I don't know. This is a big concern of mine because the ghost of my phone isn't coming with me. I don't think there are phones in the afterlife. We definitely would not need, what are they called? The seance people? The mediums? We would not need the mediums if there was phones in the afterlife. So I'm just hoping there isn't an afterlife at all. It's gone to the point where I can't live with my phone. I don't want to die without my phone either. I panic and I start patting myself down if I've been separated from it for 3 minutes. I don't think I could do an eternity. No more doom scrolling. Exactly. You just have to be in spectator mode. Me too. I'm so addicted to my phone. Yeah, day, the first day of being dead, if there are ghosts, if you're a ghost, the first day is gonna be withdrawal. It's gonna be withdrawal. But yeah, I should go. I've been here for longer than usual. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thank you for hanging out with me. It was a pleasure. Bye. Yeah, thanks for being here. Should I raid someone? Maybe I should. Maybe we should go say hello to someone. Thanks for giving me something fun to do while I recover. Oh, it's so hot. I think I want to raid this person because I haven't raided them in forever. Well, I'll say goodbye to the YouTube folks for now. Goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. Have a really great night.